gets to the heart of the important stories.
Let's face it, the sport is barbaric.
No one else gets you inside the head of today's biggest athletes.
I never told anybody, so I'll tell you.
Going Deep.
Chris Myers.
Sundays at 7 on Fox Sports Net.
Welcome back to Marlins on Deck here at County Stadium. It's a great pleasure to visit with Davey Lopes, the new manager, of course, of the Milwaukee Brewers. And congratulations on getting this job. You earned your way.
Well, nothing's ever come easy for me, and you enjoy things when you work for them.
Yeah, you had a wonderful major league career. And then, of course, you did some coaching with the Padres and with the Orioles, and it was nice to finally get the call.
Yes, I was extremely surprised, number one, and secondly, when I was given the opportunity, I was actually quite elated and thankful, the Milwaukee organization has been great to me, and I owe them a lot.
Davey, in looking at your biography, I was reminded that you went to Washburn in Kansas. You got your degree there. In the old days, a lot of ball players had to work in the off-season. You taught school in the off-season in your early days.
Yeah, when I was coming up to the minor league system in the Dodger organization, you didn't make much money back then, so you had to supplement your income, and teaching was a good way for me to do that.
Yeah, and I think probably, I wonder about this, your teaching experience and all the experience you've had as a first base coach and player, all of these things come into giving you the opportunity to create the kind of atmosphere you want on this team.
Yeah, all my background helps me a lot when you get into a position such as this, and the teaching, you're teaching at all levels. I did a lot of teaching as a coach, and then now you're still teaching, you're still motivating, you're still organizing, and so there's a lot of work to do, which your teaching skills come in very helpful.
In reading the papers here and talking with the people in Milwaukee, they're very excited about you managing this club here, and a new spirit that you're bringing to the team. It's really your spirit. It's really the way you like to play. You don't want to give any quarter any day out there.
No, I mean, I believe that you have a responsibility to yourself, number one, to respect your peers, the organization that you work for, and the fans that come out to see you play. And the way you do that is by giving a good effort every single day, not going out there half-assed, so to speak, and I didn't want to use that term, but that's okay on TV now. They say it a lot. So I didn't want them to understand what it takes to be a professional. A lot of people don't know what that term means. A lot of players today, I think they forget about it. And myself and my coaching staff, that has a lot of old school, but also a lot of new school, will remind them when they don't.
Yes, indeed. You had a good road trip starting off in Cincinnati and St. Louis?
Yes, we did. We broke even 3-3. We could have came out of it with 4-2, but we made a key mistake at one particular time, and we didn't get the big hit with a couple of bases loaded situations. But overall, it was a good start. I felt it was imperative that this team get off to a good start simply because of all the things that have gone on in the past here, and to get them to understand how good they can be and what they're capable of doing.
Your man Burnitz is banging the ball. Yeah. 5 home runs. Of course, they've all been solo shots. But
yeah, that's okay. They've been very important spots, though. I mean, it set the tempo a couple of times for the game. He's taken his game to another level this year, and this is what we expected out of Bernie. And he's capable of doing a lot more than what he has in the past. He's accepted the challenge, and we look for big things from him.
Davey, thank you so much for this visit. The very best of luck to you.
Thank you, Jay.
And coming up next, when we return, we will take a look at one of our coaches' insiders.
Don't eat the fish.
Not everyone should be as honest as we are. Tire Kingdom, honest service and the lowest prices.
Well, as we come back to Marlins on Deck, Bob Uecker has just thrown out the ceremonial first pitch. 30 years, the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, and one of the most talented guys ever to step in front of a microphone. Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker. Time now for our Coach's Insider, and as we mentioned, we're going to let Tommy Hutton be a coach today and talk to you about the importance of being left-handed if you play first base.
Back we are at first base. How many times have you heard people say, isn't it an advantage to be left-handed and play first base? Well, you know what? They're right. It is. I'm left-handed, and I'll tell you why it's a little bit of an advantage to be left-handed and be a first baseman. Number one, when you're holding a runner, it's easier to put the tag down. It's on your glove side. A right-hander has to turn and pivot a little bit more, and he has to come down with his tag this way. It's also easier when you get yourself set and you have a man at first, and you get off for a ground ball, and all of a sudden you get a ground ball and you have to make a throw to second. You get the ground ball, you want to give yourself a little angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is step inside, give myself an angle to throw to second base. Now, a right-hander, that's a little tougher. He has to get the ball. He can do one of two things. He can either completely pivot around and make his throw, or every once in a while, if he goes to this side, he may just turn completely around and make his throw that way. So you can see that's a little more difficult than the lefty who's just right here coming up and throwing. That also applies in bunt situations. If the first baseman charges, it's easier for him to get his body in position to make the catch, field, and throw to get the lead runner at second base. So yeah, you're right. It is an advantage to be left-handed and play first base.
And here in Milwaukee at County Stadium, the Marlins being introduced here as part of the opening ceremonies. When we come back to Marlins on Deck, we'll check out the schedule for today in baseball.
Low on the horizon, the convertible.
Philly time.
Una chela, por favor.
What did I miss?
That was fast.
What did I miss?
Dad, popcorn.
Guys, what did I miss?
Alex Fernandez struck out 3. I caught this. We were on the big screen.
Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, my nachos.
For Marlins tickets, visit the Pro Player Stadium box office, Marlins in Miami store, or call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050.
Marlins on Deck on Fox Sports Net has been brought to you in part by Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. By Sherwin-Williams. For great home decorating ideas and expert advice, ask how, ask now, ask Sherwin-Williams. And by Tire Kingdom, the lowest prices on the street. Well, here just a few moments ago while we were away, they introduced the University of Wisconsin basketball team, and they got a standing ovation. Of course, they got to the Final Four this year, and now the Brewers are going to be introduced to this crowd. They're still coming in. They say we're going to have standing room only here. Let's take a look at the schedule for the action in the majors today, and our action here, of course, with Nunez against Hayes. Another afternoon game. The Cubs are opening their season, the Braves at Chicago. It's the Reds and the Rockies, and that game at 3:05 this afternoon. That's the home opener, too, for Colorado. Stottlemyre goes against Williams as the Diamondbacks are at the Padres later today. The Mets are at the Phillies. Jones against Bird, and the Cardinals will throw Henkin against the Astros tonight. Over in the American League, the Twins are at the Royals, and it's Rosado going today for Kansas City. The Blue Jays are at the Angels, and the Indians play at the Athletics. Well, we've shown you a couple of times this afternoon Miller Park, which is going to be the new home of the Brewers starting next season, and there it is. They'll be playing there and open the season in April of 2001. It's a very unusual dome stadium in that it has a convertible fan-shaped roof. We're showing you a computer model now, the way it's going to look. The roof will have 7 panels, and it can open and close within 10 minutes. The stadium's going to seat 43,000. It has been financed by a 1% sales tax in 5 counties in the area. $90 million from the Brewers, including $41.2 million for the 20-year naming rights bought by the Miller Brewing Company. Last year on July 14th, an accident that caused the postponement of getting Miller Park open for this season. 3 iron workers died. There was a terrible, terrible crash of a crane into the top of the stadium area. And it really was just an awful situation, but they battled through it, and they are on schedule now. Another thing that Miller Park will be hosting in the not too distant future is the 2002 All-Star Game. As you can see, it is quite an impressive structure, and when you come to the ballpark, County Stadium, which has been a major league park, and you see this new Miller Park next door, it's a little like going to an airport and standing next to a 747 with a DC-3. But it's going to be something. The fans here are ready. We hope you're ready for the action. A reminder, a day off tomorrow, and then we'll join you again on Wednesday evening at 6:30 for another edition of Marlins on Deck prior to Game 2 of the action between the Marlins and the Brewers. Jay Randolph inviting you to stay tuned for Marlins baseball.
Investigated, respected.
Is Fox Sports Net.
The Fish are on the road for the first time in 2000. Luis Castillo paving the way in committing highway robbery. Mike Lowell, 2 home runs, blasting the Fish to a winning record in the first week of play. We are in Milwaukee at Old County Stadium. The future within striking distance. Miller Park is a year away. Today, the present on Fox Sports Net. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as Fox Sports Net presents Florida Marlins baseball. And this afternoon on opening day in Milwaukee, it'll be the Marlins against the Milwaukee Brewers in the first of a 3-game series. Hello again, baseball fans. Joe Angel with Tommy Hutton on a gorgeous day for baseball in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It could not be more ideal. The temperature about 37 degrees, and it might snow later today. Tommy, you couldn't ask for anything more.
Hey, this is baseball weather, Joe.
And we talk about asking for anything more. How about Luis Castillo, a little second baseman? You could safely say, I think, that so far this season, Tommy, he has been maybe the best player in the National League the way he's gone.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeremy Burnitz has 5 home runs this week, but Luis Castillo has had probably a better week with what he's done, not only offensively, but defensively as well. 10 walks so far. His on-base percentage has been unbelievable. Last 5 games, 571, but overall it's 594. He's done everything that you would ask of a leadoff man. Just about every time you look up there, he has a 3-2 count. So he's making the pitchers work. He's drawing some bases on balls, causing a lot of damage when he gets on base. Now, when he's in the field, he's been doing some damage as well. Defensively, he's gone to his right, he's gone to his left. How about this play? Off the glove and then got the force out at second base. Unbelievable. Then he's part of a double play against the San Francisco Giants. A great spear as he went to the hole and then fed it on to Alex Gonzalez. So Luis Castillo, if I had a vote, he certainly would be player of the week.
Well, I'll tell you, he was the club MVP a year ago, and he's even better so far this season, hitting over 400, his on base almost 600. We talked to Luis Castillo and wondered about the way he felt about the first 7 days so far this year.
Because, you know, I'm working for more than base. I need work for, like, steal the bases. That's my job. That's when I work in here. When Tony, Jack Maloof, I work for my hitting, for my defense, for Bonnie, for everything.
Yeah, he has worked at it, and so far it's paid off. Quite simply put, he is the Marlins' best player right now. All right, game 1 in Milwaukee coming up. We'll take a look at the pitching matchup, and it is brought to you by Toyota. It'll be Vladimir Nunez. He received a no decision in his initial start so far this year, although he did struggle, and he'll take on right-hander Jimmy Haynes for Milwaukee. Haynes with Oakland a year ago. His record this year 1-0, but look at his ERA, almost 8 runs a game. Although he did win, he struggled in his initial start. Stay tuned. The play-by-play is next from Milwaukee on Fox Sports Net. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Net is being brought to you in part by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete. By Miller Lite, taste a true Pilsner. By Nextel. Nextel, how business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9. By Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, the value is real every day. And by Tire Kingdom, the lowest prices on the street.
Low on the horizon.
305-350-5050.
You gotta have hope. You gotta have hope. Without hope, life is meaningless. Without hope, life is meaning less and less. You gotta have hope. You gotta have hope. You gotta have hope. You gotta have...
All right, Joe and Tommy, welcome back to County Stadium in Milwaukee. And Tommy, it wasn't supposed to be this way. A very tragic accident. You can see Miller Park still under construction in the background. So next year at this time, County Stadium is going to be a parking lot, and we'll be in that brand new, nice and comfortable brand new Miller Park in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and I'm sure if the temperatures are the way they are today, it'll be closed, and as you mentioned, it'll be nice and cozy in the new ballpark. But you know what? Things aren't going to change today. We're not going to be able to go over there, so it's baseball. Either way, both teams are going to have to get used to the cold. As I mentioned a little earlier, the Brewers opening up on the road, they've had a week of cold weather in Cincinnati and St. Louis. The Marlins have been in Florida for 6 weeks, and then a great week of opening day weather, opening week weather. Now they're going to have to adjust to some coolness here in Milwaukee.
All right, that'll give you an idea of the elements here in Milwaukee, nice and bundled up inside that Florida dugout. Milwaukee on the field defensively. We'll check out the Marlin lineup, and for the second consecutive ball game, Mark Kotze in right field hitting number 2, and the struggling Alex Gonzalez near the bottom of the order. Mike Redmond does the catching. We highlight Luis Castillo. He has been maybe the best player in the National League so far this year, hitting over 400. His on base almost 600. He's drawn 10 walks. He's getting it done defensively. He has been absolutely superb.
Yeah, take a look at the 27-year-old right-hander, Jimmy Haynes, who's going to be on the mound in this ball game for Milwaukee. The Brewers are taking a little bit of a flyer on him. The last couple of years he's been with Oakland. He does have a good fastball in the 90s, big curveball that he has trouble controlling. Keep in mind, on a cool afternoon with the temperatures in the 30s, very hard to get a grip on a breaking ball, so both pitchers will have trouble controlling that. He did win his first outing of the year, gave up some runs though, and they hope that he can regroup. They got him in a deal with Oakland. It was one of those three-way deals. That was when Jeff Cirilla moved on to the Colorado Rockies, but Haynes the last couple of years was a starter in that Oakland rotation. Now we'll check out the defense that Davey Lopes has made out. Behind Jimmy Haynes, Jeff Jenkins, Marquise Grissom, Jeremy Burnitz. Burnitz the power man in the outfield, Grissom the gold glover. Hernandez and Loretta. Jose Hernandez has played a lot of shortstop. He's a third baseman now with the Brewers. Ron Belliard out of Miami is a second baseman. Kevin Barker and Blanco behind the plate.
And of course, Davey Lopes is the brand new manager of this Milwaukee franchise. Davey Lopes, they got a new manager. They've got a new general manager. Next year, they got a brand new ballpark. But this season, it is business as usual. And well, Jimmy Haynes is off to a good start. And a call strike to Luis Castillo. Interesting, Tommy, Luis, you see all bundled up. But that's exactly what he looked like before the game in the Marlin clubhouse. He was all bundled up. So he was getting ready and just getting used to the equipment. And of course, he is off to a fabulous start. A batting average of .409, a .594 on base percentage. Defensively, he has been a highlight reel. Last year hit .321 against Milwaukee pitching. Luis Castillo, little bouncer, one hop to third. Hernandez gets him.
This is the kind of day that if you are a pitcher, and pitchers, believe it or not, do have a little edge because if they get loose and if they get warm, they are the only position player other than maybe the catcher a little bit that's going to be able to sustain that and keep warm. But the big problem for pitchers is, you know how your hands dry out. It's tough to get a grip on a baseball.
And if you don't make solid contact, look out, the bees will sting. A little chopper back to the pitcher Haynes, and Katse is a 1-3 goner.
Yeah, when you need batting information, you go to a Hall of Famer. Rod Carew in the Hall of Fame is a batting instructor with Milwaukee, and I said, hey Rod, how do you tell your hitters to hit on days like this? He said, well, you gotta get the head of the bat out. He said, but then not too fast, because then you don't want to hit it on the end of the bat.
Hey, what does he know about hitting? What did he win? 7 batting titles?
Yeah, he had over 3,000 of those things too, base hits.
Okay, so he knows a little bit about hitting. A couple of times he flirted with a 400 batting average. Well, 2 gone just like that. And now Brant Brown. Back-to-back left-hand hitters against right-hander Jimmy Haynes. Brown, a batting average of 154 in the early going. He picked up 1 RBI. Takes a breaking ball that bounces in. Jimmy Haynes, tall right-hander, 6'4", weighs just over 200 pounds. He's 27 years of age. Last year, 7-12 with Oakland, but he had a 6.34 ERA. Pitched in 30 games, made 25 starts, gave up a lot of hits and a lot of home runs, and he walked a lot of men too. In fact, he had almost as many walks as strikeouts last year. The count 3-2 now to Brant Brown.
Yeah, there's no question that's been his problem, and that's what the Brewers hope that they can straighten out. Bob Apodaca is their pitching coach, and they want him to minimize those walks because he has good enough stuff to get major league hitters out when he throws strikes.
Now the 3-2 pitch, and he walked him. It was close, but Brown gets the walk, and now it'll bring up Preston Wilson. Davey Lopes hoping to get some starting pitching this season. Jimmy Haynes, one of 3 starters they brought in for the year. The other 2 being Juan Acevedo and Jamie Wright. And the only problem there, Tommy, is the fact that right now they're both on the 15-day DL. So you bring in starting pitching and they wind up getting hurt right away. Now Wilson to hit with 2 outs. And he takes a ball. Preston hitting at .348 with the 1 home run that he got yesterday in the finale against Colorado, kind of a gift home run. The third base umpire John Shulak, who just didn't get a real good look at that home run, or what should have been a foul ball. But Wilson says he'll take it. Marlins aren't about to give it back. Shulak admitted after the game, yeah, he blew the call, and hey, what can you do? Wilson takes a strike on the outside. And thought you might like to take a look at that phantom home run. 1993.
Yeah, just in case you missed it, a fastball in that Preston really turned on, hit a rocket, and just scorched it down the line, and it got out so fast that Shulak had trouble picking it up right away.
Good fastball. And Wilson took it right down the middle. It is 1-2 now. Mike Lowe is due to hit next. 2 gone, a man on, no score. Just getting started opening day in Milwaukee here at County Stadium. Marlins are trying to run their record to 5-3. Milwaukee comes in at 3-3. Did a good job in the opening series against Cincinnati, and then got rather pummeled by the St. Louis Cardinals, and in particular by former teammate Fernando Vina, who is now the Cardinals' second baseman. Vina had a great series against his former club. Wilson will ground ball to short. They get the force out at second base. Loretta to Belliard, and that's it. No runs, a walk. They leave him in Milwaukee. We're now heading to the bottom of the first, and right now it's a 0-0 game.
You know, you can't accept less from life. Because then you'll accept less from your work, and then you'll accept less from your weekends, and the next thing you know, you'll accept less from your beer. And you just can't accept less from your beer, because then you'll start accepting less from guys who install satellite dishes, and you might lose reception during an important football game, and hey, that's just wrong. Ice brewed so there's never any watered-down taste. Ice House. Enjoy.
Are these your final numbers?
These are our final numbers.
Don't let anybody talk to you.
Going deep.
With Chris Myers.
Sundays at 7 on Fox Sports Net.
All right, now we'll take a look at the Milwaukee lineup. Brought to you by Miller, Grissom, Loretta, and Burnett right there at the top. Jenkins, Hernandez, and Parker in the middle. Belliard, fine second baseman, a youngster out of Miami. At the bottom, Blanco doing the catching. Parker off to a very good start. He's the first baseman for Milwaukee, and we'll see what he can do against Vladimir Nunez here this afternoon.
Well, the big 25-year-old Vladimir Nunez gets himself ready. Check out what we can expect to see. That fastball in the mid-90s, hard slider. He will drop down occasionally. I know he loves to do that. The organization would like to see him not do it quite so often. There's a look at what he did in his first outing. That was against the San Francisco Giants. Vladimir in 4 1/3 gave up 6 hits and 7 runs. 5 of those runs were earned.
Well, Grissom aggressive. Little pop up here. Fading back is Gonzalez. Struggling, but he handles it. And that's out number 1. Yeah, it is cold. It is windy. And this afternoon, the wind is coming in directly from left field.
Yeah, and that is one thing that the defense is going to have to really keep their eye on, the wind. It is blowing from left to right. Grant Brown with another start in left field. Kotze back in right. Lowell and Gonzalez. Evan Millar over there. And Mike Redmond, who had a nice debut in the major leagues right here in the same ballpark. A 3-for-3 day with a home run. There's that big flag, that giant flag in left center.
Yeah, I'll give you an idea of the elements. Temperature very cold, and the wind makes it even worse. The old wind chill factor. Mark Loretta off to a slow start, although he does have a couple of RBIs, hitting only 172. Last year, Tommy got a chance to play after the injury to Valentin in April. Now Loretta got a chance to play and wound up hitting 290. And also plays some first base. Here's a guy who can play just about any place in the infield. Mark Loretta, 28 years of age. Last year he started 70 games at shortstop. He started 54 games at first base. He also started at second base and at third base. So a real handy guy to have on a ball club.
Yeah, and now with a new 3-year contract, he is their everyday shortstop.
It's really amazing. Line drive right to first base. Millar cradled it for the out. I think about Loretta, played all those positions last year. Still, he made only 13 errors, so he's solid. Not spectacular, but very solid. Well, he is lined out. And now we'll take a look at the dangerous guy, Jeremy Burnett. You see John Bowles trying to weather the elements here. Jeremy Burnett, he's off to a sizzling start. Hitting 348. Little bouncer here. Millar. Underhand to Nunez, and it's a quick 1-2-3. Yeah, it's a great day to pitch in Milwaukee. No score at the end of 1.
What did I miss?
That was fast.
What did I miss?
Dad, popcorn.
Guys, what did I miss?
Alex Fernandez struck out 3. I caught this. We were on the big screen.
And miss anything else?
Yeah, my nachos.
For Marlins tickets, visit the Pro Player Stadium box office, Marlins in Miami store, or call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050.
People that dislike you.
What? The Last Word, weeknights at 6:30 and 11:30 on Fox Sports Net.
It is all good.
All right, fans, be sure to join us again on Wednesday when Preston Wilson and Luis Castillo and the Fish will take on these Milwaukee Brewers. Live action begins at 6:30 right here on Fox Sports Net. Some hardy fans in Milwaukee. Opening day, no score. Now the fish again against right-hander Jimmy Haynes. Going to be Lowell, Millar, and Gonzalez coming up to hit. Mike Lowell, he's off to a great start, hitting .346, couple of home runs to lead the club. He's knocked in 8 runs. He and Wilson right now tied for the club lead each with 8 RBIs. One and one to Mike Lowell. And now 2 and 1.
I think one of the real keys on a day like today, as a hitter especially, I think it makes you a better hitter because you really have to focus in on getting your rip at a good pitch because you don't want to get jammed. You don't want to hit a ball off the end of the bat.
Now 2 and 2.
And then the bottom line to the whole thing is get used to it because it'll probably be this way the entire road trip here in Chicago.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe the bottom line is under these conditions, hey, you just have to be mentally tough. Even coaching at third base like Freddie Gonzalez, you got to be mentally tough. You have to ignore the elements. Right?
Can't even think about them.
Think about what? Oh, I forgot about him.
What'd you say?
Hey, that's a good job of hitting right there with 2 strikes. And the ball out away from Lowell. He just kind of poked it into right field. He gets aboard and is now hitting almost .360 early in this season.
Well, you can tell by the way Mike's swinging. He's just locked in, hitting the ball. Yesterday, he hit a double down the left field line. He really ripped his home run and then stayed back on that one and sent it the other way. So when he's hitting the ball that way, you can tell he's locked in.
Now we'll take a look at Kevin Millar. Well, we've seen, look at Mike Lowell. He's got the headgear on. He's got all kinds of equipment to try and stay warm. And now we take a look at Kevin Millar. Look at his approach. A manly man. And no long sleeves. No head cover. Just a little bit of protection on that left arm. And as usual, that nasty looking batting helmet with all that pine tar on it. Yeah, Millar says, what cold? I don't feel anything. Little fly ball, shallow right. Burnett's going to get there. Yes, he can. And Mike Lowell back to first.
Yeah, with Kevin Millar, it's almost like a statement. This isn't going to get to me.
I like that.
Batting 7, number 11.
But the day is young. And now we'll take a look at Alex Gonzalez. Let's take a look at Gonzalez, Tommy. Obviously, he's off to a very slow start offensively. I'm talking to Andre Dawson about Gonzalez and his approach right now. And Andre Dawson feels that Alex Gonzalez right now is just guilty of going after the ball too much, looking for the ball instead of waiting for the ball to come to him. And so he's out of whack.
Yeah, there's an old saying that in order to change that around, you have to keep reminding yourself to trust your hands. Let the ball come to you. Your hands are going to be quick enough. These guys all at this major league level have quick hands. Trust your hands. Let the ball come to you. You're going to be a better hitter.
Andre Dawson says Gonzalez is going after the ball, reaching for it. His body's out in front. His hands are late. And by the time he does get to the ball, there's nothing left. Has not been able to drive the ball. And what Gonzalez should attempt to do right now is just, and you hear it quite often, just hit the ball right back up the middle. And that's a good way to put it, Tommy, just to trust yourself and your hands and just react.
Because if you think that way, all of a sudden, if you're thinking middle of the field, you're quick enough to react on a pitch that's in, and you'll pull that, and you also are able to stay back on a ball that's away and go the other way with it.
His batting average under 100. And of course started the season as the number 2 hitter, but he slumped so badly he's down in the order. Yesterday batted 8th, today hitting 7th. And there's Jack Maloof, club's hitting instructor, who also has been working diligently with Gonzalez. Well, sometimes, Tommy, just one good at bat can get you locked in. I tried to go the other way. Burnett is backing up at the warning track. He'll make the catch.
Then you're about a fraction of an inch of coming out of it, and when things are going poorly, usually that's what happens. You hit a ball well, which he did. He did stay back on the ball. He drove it nicely, but Burnett was able to track it down on the warning track.
Well, that's a good sign for Gonzalez. But now with 2 outs, it'll bring up the catcher, Mike Redmond.
You know, it's really no consolation for a hitter because you'll do anything to get a hit. Even if you have a bad swing, you'll take the hit. So it's not much consolation, but the bottom line, that was a much better swing.
Now Redmond, who is hitting .375 in the early going here. Redmond, a guy who has always feasted against Milwaukee pitching. A .440 batting average against the Brewers in his career. Mike Redmond. 2 gone, a man on, no score, top of number 2 here. Infield backed up all the way. Right-hander Jimmy Haynes. And Redmond takes it low and outside. The count 2 balls and no strikes. Haynes, who came up initially with the Orioles back in 1995, and in only his 2nd major league start that year, and a game against the Tigers, he won that ball game and recorded 11 strikeouts. But he has never blossomed into the kind of a pitcher that other teams thought he would be. As Burnett's on a dead run again. This time he cannot get to it. It's a foul ball. Hey, Burnett staying warm out there right now.
Well, you can also see all 4 hitters in this inning are trying to stay back and go the other way. Lowell's base hit went that way. Then a couple of fly balls to Burnett's in right field.
That's a nice way to stay warm, those full sprints out there in right field.
You were talking, Joe, about the way Mike Redmond has hit here at County Stadium.
Yeah.
Remember that debut against Scott Carl, the left-hander, 3 for 3 with a home run. I think Mike was half joking. He said, yeah, when the ball club leaves, he may just grab a little bit of grass from this stadium because he won't have that opportunity anymore.
That's right, yeah. Well, Redmond took a pretty good pitch right there at the knees. So the count even up at 2-2 now. Jimmy Haynes last season with Oakland, a very streaky kind of a year. He got off to a very poor start. Now time has been called here. But last year in April, Jimmy Haynes, his record was 1-4. And then he ended the season on a 5-game losing streak. Now, in the middle of that, he was okay. A couple of bad streaks. Starting and leaving. In fact, his last victory last year came on July 18th. Right after the All-Star break, and he never won again after that. After the season, he was dealt. Well, Redmond continues to hit at County Stadium in Milwaukee. Runners on first and second. It'll bring up Vladimir Nunez.
Well, an important base hit. It extends the inning and gets Vladimir to come in and hit the pitcher. But there's a great example of what we were just talking about. A lot of the hitters have tried to go the other way. Mike trusted his hands. All of a sudden, Haynes gets a pitch a little bit in. You know what? Trusted his hands. They were quick enough to turn on the ball and still get the base hit to left field.
Well, we'll see if Nunez can help himself here. Marlins have had 3 base runners. Meanwhile, Nunez got Milwaukee 1-2-3 in the first. Good fastball. 0-1 the count.
No wonder, Joe, now it all is coming to me. Remember, our bus had to pause a little bit before we got to the gate here, and a number of players went ahead and got off. No wonder Mike Redmond got off. He wanted to get here. He's 8 for 11 here at County Stadium.
And boy, he led the pack too. it was his idea
he
to
said,
leave the bus.
Let's go.
So let's get the heck out of here. I want to get there.
Now it's all coming to me.
Yeah, he knows. He likes it here. He's going to hate to see this place torn down. It's going to become a parking lot. Hey, next year Redmond might come here and take batting practice in that new parking lot.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, why not? What a guy, Mike Redmond. One of the great guys in the game. Nunez sharply hit, and the ball goes right through Barker. My goodness. Well, here's Lowell coming in to score, and the throw coming back in toward the infield. The Marlins have taken a 1-0 lead on a ball hit right to Barker that went right through his legs.
There's no question about that. That play has to be made. The key is that Vladimir was able to put it in play and make some contact. That's one of the areas that Davey Lopes is a little concerned with. He knows Barker has the bat, but he still is untested at the major league level. They picked up Charlie Hayes right at the end of spring training when he was released from the New York Mets, so they do have a veteran influence. Hayes has been playing some first base. Barker needs to make that play, but the Marlins will take the unearned run.
Milwaukee had actually been a pretty good defensive team until the last couple of games, and then finally the first error they made, and it was made by the second baseman Belliard. It cost him a game, and this one here has cost him a run. And now Castillo takes a ball that gets away momentarily.
Boy, this is where you really like to make it hurt and add on another run.
Well, Luis 0 for 1. He bounced to third. Runners on first and third. There's Redmond, his single. He went to third on the ball hit by Nunez, who's at first. Now 2-0 to Luis Castillo.
As a base runner, under these conditions, you can be more aggressive because the outfielders have to be tentative when they come in to charge balls. The outfield's a little slippery, so you can take that extra base.
And he caught the inside corner. So the count 2-1 now. And Luis, who has been sensational. First 7 games, he has drawn 10 walks. And look at the on-base percentage. Coming in at .594. Only Fernando Tatis of the St. Louis Cardinals has done it better, getting on base so far this year. And he takes a call, strike 2. Well, the last couple of years, Luis Castillo has really come a long way. Remember, as early as 2 years ago, he was missing signs. He was getting picked off on the bases. Jim Leland used to get very upset with Luis Castillo, and the organization tried to deal him away. Thank goodness it didn't work out.
Well, yeah, and he gives Marlins coach Tony Taylor a tremendous amount of he loves what he's done. Tony works with him every day, and he's like a father to Luis Castillo.
Got a piece of it. It'll stay at 2-2. With Castillo, it's almost like a light went on, and all of a sudden he could see.
Hey, Tony Taylor was able to just flip the right switch.
He got the wake-up call. And now, well, quite simply put, he is the Marlins' best player. He was the club MVP last year. The count 2-2. Fastball, little tapper. Haynes on to first to get him, and that'll do it. But they do get one, and they leave a couple. And now Vladimir Nunez going back to work. He'll pitch to Jenkins, and then Hernandez, and then Barker. So the middle of the order coming up for Milwaukee.
Should be as honest as we are. Tire Kingdom, honest service and the lowest prices.
All right, fans, don't miss your chance to be a member of the 2000 Florida Marlin Diamond Club. It is the club for the ultimate Marlin fan. In addition to exclusive Marlins merchandise, Diamond Club members can attend an exclusive autograph session with Marlin players and then travel to Tampa to see the Marlins on the road. If you'd like more information on the Marlin Diamond Club, I'll give you a phone number, 305-626-7293.
And, you know, I talked to a few of the fans who made that trip last year. They said they had an absolute ball taking the train over to Tampa, then going to Tropicana Field in St. Pete, seeing the series against the Devil Rays. It was a great time.
Well, here we go into the second quarter. National Football League action here. Oh, I'm sorry. I got lost momentarily. Well, Vladimir Nunez, the quarterback today. He'll go to work on Jenkins, and then Hernandez, and then Barker with a 1-0 lead here.
Yeah, I think it was a bonus for Vladimir to reach on that error. He was able to stay out there on the bases and run a little bit, keep warm.
Jenkins takes the ball. Batting average of 240 for Jenkins, a home run and 1 RBI. Just 1 RBI, the result of that bomb. This guy can hit. Good left-hand hitter. Hit over 300 last year, 21 home runs, and he knocked in 82 in 135 games. Pretty good clutch hitter. Pulls this one foul. Former All-American at the University of Southern California, Trojan.
I didn't know there was a hot zone in this ball game today, but there it is. Anything in on Jenkins, unless it's middle in, you want to keep away because he's a good pull hitter, and don't leave it out over the plate.
And that ball drifting out of play.
Hey, this is the guy that Mark Kotze told us a great story on.
Yeah.
Last year when we were here in Milwaukee, Kotze pitching at the time for Cal State Fullerton struck out Jeff Jenkins. Kotze remembered the whole sequence of pitches.
And every chance he gets, he calls Jenkins to remind him.
Yeah, and I believe that was in the College World Series.
Yeah, the other day he called him collect to remind him. Oh boy. Oh boy, way back. It's a tie ball game. Jenkins has homered for the second time this season, and he nailed it. That ball got out instantaneously. And he hit the ball over Kotze in right field.
Yeah, Kotze had no chance to retire him this time. Looked like a breaking ball, and we showed you that hot zone middle of the plate in, and that's about where it was. And Jenkins, with that sweet left-handed swing, attacked it. Watch this pitch kind of flatten out. Didn't dive. Stayed down and in. Perfect spot for a lefty.
Isn't that amazing how many left-hand hitters love that pitch right there in that location?
It's almost, he just dropped the head of the bat, and it's right on.
Yeah. It jumped off the bat. Jenkins, the answer to a trivia question. Remember, he came up, made his major league debut in a game against the Giants in 1998. And in that game, he became the only Milwaukee Brewer ever to hit a home run on his major league debut. He's the only guy, the only Brewer to have ever done that. Hernandez in here now. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count.
Pretty hard to tell on that pitch. It didn't look like a slider. It looked like it might have been a forkball that just kind of stayed there and didn't dive.
And now 2-2 the count. Jenkins, who's 25 years of age, left-hand hitter. Boy, Dusty Baker, and talked to Dusty Baker about Jenkins when the Giants were in South Florida. And Baker is totally enamored of this kid, Jenkins. He loves him. He'd love to get him somehow.
Of course, the Giants see a lot of the Brewers in spring training.
Yeah, he can rake. Three and 2 to Jose Hernandez here. 1-1 game with the bases empty in the bottom of the second.
Well, that's one thing that Davey Lopes has said about his ball club with Loretta, who can get on base, Burnitz, Jenkins, Hernandez, Barker. They have power. He's not worried too much about the offense.
Into left center, Brown racing over, and he will get there. Well, Hernandez hit the ball sharply, but Brown was there.
But the big question with the Brewers, and it's a big question with a lot of teams around the major leagues, pitching. And I think even more so starting pitching in the case of the Brewers.
And in that department, they're off to a very rough start because their starters have been injured.
Believe me, there are a lot of clubs right now that would like to have the Marlins starting staff.
No question about that. All right, Ken Barker, little ground ball. Millar handles it nicely. Underhand of Vladimir, and Barker has gone on 1 pitch.
You and I were talking about it before the game. I think we've seen a marked improvement, mainly because of a lot of work in Kevin Millar. He really takes pride in the defense part of the game. Pretty routine the last couple he's had, but he's made some nice plays this year. He's been very steady out there.
Early in the season, Millar, of course, he is the starting first baseman. He won the job in spring training by virtue of what he did offensively. I mean, he just simply won the job. No questions asked. But there have been a lot of defensive changes early this season. And Tommy, as early as the 5th inning. I mean, Millar, I think, has gotten to the point where about the middle of the game, he begins to look over his shoulder. And that is never a healthy situation. I mean, it's not like every ball goes through Millar defensively. and he did win the job for his bat.
Let's just put it this way. He's not a Dick Stewart, a Dr. Strangeglove.
Hey, there was only one Dick Stewart. I've seen Dick Stewart, and Millar is no Dick Stewart. Well, Vladimir gets a strikeout, so he gives up the home run, but after that he gets a 1-2-3, so he settled down. In Milwaukee, end of 2. It's a 1-1 game.
No! On the horizon! The convertibles are coming! Hey, the new convertibles are here! Woo!
One of those Stanley Cups.
Sports Geniuses, the game show that tests your sports IQ. Weeknights at 6 and 11 on Fox Sports Net.
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Net is being brought to you in part by New York Life, the company you keep. We're tied up at 1-1. Scene just outside of County Stadium in Milwaukee. Within striking distance. Yeah. Things have yet to awaken here in Milwaukee. Everything kind of dormant. We're going to go to Wrigley Field in Chicago, and the ivy will be dormant around the outfield wall. Well, the Marlins have not been dormant. They've got a winning record. And right now it's a 1-1 tie. Head to the third. Kotze, Brown, and Wilson coming up against right-hander Jimmy Haynes. Talk about this Milwaukee ball club. And of course, last year, ending with a record of 74-87. They were 5th in their division, and they were 22.5 games out. And by the end of the season, of course, another losing season. Their 7th consecutive losing season. Low bouncer behind second base. Loretta gets it. Kotze is a 6-3 goner.
One thing about opening day in Milwaukee, we saw a lot of tailgaters in the parking lot. A lot of people having fun. They added a new little area, a party suite. You can sit upstairs outdoors, or you can stay downstairs a little warmer on a day like today. That was something that was new. They didn't expect to have to do that because they thought they would be in their new park, but they wanted to do a few things differently here this year.
Brown takes a fastball for a called strike. Well, what the Brewers would like to do differently is win. They made a bunch of changes on the ball club too. I mean, they got rid of Scott Carl, they lost Hideo Nomo, and Tommy, that's 23 wins that they're going to have to make up somehow. They lost some power too. They lost David Nilsson, and they dealt away Jeff Cirillo. That's almost 40 home runs right there.
Well, and you talked about the replacements, Jamie Wright and Juan Acevedo, both on the DL right now.
They're off to a rough start. They also lost Fernando Vina, final second baseman, a legitimate leadoff hitter and a leader in the clubhouse. Vina is off to a great start with the St. Louis Cardinals. Although this kid Belliard's a pretty good player.
Yeah, Ron Belliard's having a good early year, and he was their Rookie of the Year last year. He had a solid season.
And of course, last year, Phil Garner was fired before the end of the season. A pop-up hit by Brown, your second base. Belliard out of Central High School in Miami. Makes
Just
the catch.
the way he did it there.
Yeah. 2 gone. And now we'll check in on Preston Wilson.
Well, that was one of the reasons they felt comfortable losing Vina. Vina had been hurt, and they knew Belliard could certainly fill in, and he's done that.
And of course, Sal Bando would eventually kind of step aside as the club general manager. So they've got brand new leadership on the field in the front office. And now they're trying to improve on the field.
Yeah, former assistant with the Atlanta Braves, Dean Taylor, is the new general manager.
Longtime assistant under John Schuerholz in Atlanta. Not a bad guy to learn from. Of course, Davey Lopes is now the manager. Wilson takes it a little bit low for a ball. The count 2-0. Davey Lopes, who waited a decade to get a chance to manage in the major leagues. Never managed in the minor leagues. But there's a guy who knew how to play the game. Wilson knows how to hit. Down the left field line. Jenkins Fires back into second base. Wilson settles for a base hit.
Great idea by Preston, though. As soon as he got out of the batter's box, he had double in mind. Remember, I said on a day like today, you can be a little more aggressive on the bases, and with 2 down, you want to think, get yourself in scoring position. He didn't hit this ball all that hard, so he knew Jenkins had a ways to go. But when you round first base and the play's in front of you in left field, you have an idea. So he took a good turn, really didn't put on the brakes until he saw Jenkins's throw going right to second base.
And of course, on the artificial turf, that's an easy double. I mean, that ball winds up in the corner. But it's real grass they're playing on this afternoon. And I'm Mike Lowe, a chance to pick up a 2-out RBI. We're tied up at 1-1 in the third. There are 2 gone, and there's a man on. Pulls it foul.
Hey, Joe, how about the new synthetic stuff they have in St. Petersburg at Tropicana Field? It appears, it looks like grass. The game was on television last night, Tampa Bay and Cleveland.
I liked it. It looks like grass. It feels like grass. It plays like real grass. And yet it's artificial.
And as Larry Rothschild would say last night, allows way too many runs to the Cleveland Indians.
Boy, that game was 10-1 in the third inning. The Indians had a wonderful time on that artificial real grass in St. Pete. They say it's easier on the skin, easier on the knees. It's a good idea. Heading for the corner. Does it stay fair? No, it does not. A foul ball by just a few feet. My goodness. Well, the time we saw a ball like that yesterday, that was ruled fair.
Yeah, that's what Mike's saying. He said, hey, Preston, you got one of those yesterday. How come I can't get one today? Look at that. It was never that cold at FIU, was it, Mike?
Not that he can remember. Mike, this game is 1 for 1, a single and a run scored in the second inning. Mike, who leads the club with 2 home runs, and right now tied with Wilson with 8 RBIs. Mike right now hitting .370 in the first 8 games, including today.
Well, you can see where Blanco shifted before the toss was over to first base. When you see a catcher move inside, he also wanted it up a little belt high. He wants Haynes to bust a fastball in there, see if they come back with the same thought. Now he's going away.
Breaking ball, sharply hit. Backhand to Hernandez. On to first, he got it. Nicely done by Jose at third base. No runs a hit, they'll lead 1. Now, in the bottom of the third, Vladimir Nunez, in a 1-1 tie, will go to work on the bottom of the Milwaukee order.
Maybe you can get tired.
Don't eat the fish.
Not everyone should be as honest as we are. Tire Kingdom, honest service and the lowest prices.
Well, Fox Sports Net and the Florida Marlins are teaming up this season to bring you Cornerstone for Kids. It is a program designed to build a brighter future for local youngsters through education and, of course, the game of baseball. Now, during the season, we're going to tell you about all the activities that you can get involved with to make a difference. And just stay tuned to Fox Sports Net, or you can call the Marlins Community Hotline for more information. Now the Brewers, Blanco leads off, then Haynes, and then the top of the order, Marquise Grissom. We're tied up at 1-1. Henry Blanco. They count 2-0 now. Blanco, another one of the off-season acquisitions by this Milwaukee club. But mostly, they went out and got pitching. Acevedo and Jamie Wright both on the 15-day DL. They got Jimmy Haynes. They also picked up the third baseman, Jose Hernandez. So Milwaukee with a different look. Got off to a decent start. 3 wins and 3 losses.
Yeah, that was important for Davey Lopes, too. He said it was very imperative for his ball club to get off to a decent start.
Yeah, that's exactly what John Bull said. Yeah, the Marlins off to a 4-3 start. Rosie getting some good pitching, good starting pitching, some timely hitting. Defensively, overall, they've been very good so far this year. They split the 4-game series against San Francisco and won the 2-game series against Colorado.
Yeah, actually, it's a good point, because I was talking with a couple of the people involved with the Brewers, and they were saying, well, what exactly has been the strong point for the Marlins this first week of the season? And I thought about it, and I guess the two things that came to my mind quickly were clutch hitting and the defense.
Boy, I'll see. I tell you, Luis Castillo, the game he played yesterday, as Blanco will get a walk here with nobody out. The game Castillo played yesterday, both offensively and defensively, one of the better games I've seen by an individual. He was everywhere. And of course, he was on base 3 times. 1-0.
There's a Ricky Bonas pitch, and I think Bonas deflected that just a little bit, and Luis was there to make the play. Here's Haynes trying to bunt as they say, get back to live action.
Nicely done, yeah. That play that Castillo made yesterday, hey, that was a game-saving play. Late in a ball game, in a tight game like that, to get a pitcher out of a severe jam. Bunted foul. It just seems to me, Tommy, that Castillo these days is playing with so much confidence.
Well, I like what he said, too, in an interview before the game. He was saying, and this all describes his confidence, in a situation where it's a key situation, he wants the ball hit to him. He wants to be the guy that has a chance to make that play.
1-1 to Haynes, who bunts it. And Millar's going to have to go to first with Castillo covering. Good sacrifice. Now the top of the order coming up.
Well, the last few years spent in Oakland in the American League, Haynes, other than maybe an interleague start, hasn't had many opportunities to drop down a bunt. Did it very nicely there. You're always told you'd like to get it toward the first baseman, because the first baseman has to hold. He can't commit as quickly as the third baseman can. So Haynes got that bunt up the first base side and made it look pretty easy to advance Blanco.
Now it's going to be Nunez against the veteran Marquise Grissom. He's 0 for 1 here today. Popped to short. Grissom, Tommy, was a bit of a question mark going into today's game because he suffered a little bit of a hamstring pull in the finale in St. Louis. Grissom, who is now 32 years of age, he's not what he used to be, but he can still play.
Yeah, he can, and he's here because of Davey Lopes.
Yeah.
The Brewers were thinking about moving him and trading him somewhere, and Lopes said, no, I want Marquise Grissom. I want him at the top of my lineup. Davey Lopes stole over 500 bases in his career, and he's worked with Grissom a little bit. Grissom stole 24 last season.
Yeah. Back in 1992, he stole 78 bases.
Look at that. Good pass. Touchdown pass. Preston Wilson.
To Dave Weathers, an ex-Marlin. Not in that Milwaukee bullpen. Now they get 2 to Marquise Grissom, who made his major league debut with the Expos back in 1989. And eventually went to Atlanta in 1995, Indians in 1997, and now a Milwaukee Brewer.
Well, he has 30 World Series hits. He's been magnificent in postseason.
The count stays at a ball and 2 strikes. Well, he first came up in '89, and he hit his first major league home run off of Greg Maddux. Of course, at that time, Maddux was a Chicago Cub. Marquise Grissom. He could make it happen. Just a little bit low and outside the ball. So even up at 2-2 now. Runner at second base, 1 gone in a 1-1 tie in the third, bottom half. on a cold and blustery opening day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The breaking ball, and now 3-2. He saw Vladimir blowing into his pitching hand. It's allowed today. And he walked him as he tried to pick up the outside corner with a fastball and missed. So it is the second walk issued by Vladimir, both in this inning. And now Loretta will come up to hit with one out.
Right now, Luis Castillo going to the mound. He's going to tell Vladimir, you'd probably prefer not having to work the Burnitz in this inning. So let's see if you can get Loretta to hit a ground ball, and we'll try to turn you two.
That's a good idea, Luis. Yeah, it's awfully tough under these conditions to stay warm and keep that good feeling on those fingertips. You try to keep them warm. I mean, you've got to have a good feel for the baseball. So even though it's a tough day to hit, for the same reasons, it can also be tough to pitch. And Loretta pulled that one foul.
If you notice, though, most of the Brewers, as I mentioned earlier, because they've played a week in cold weather already between St. Louis and Cincinnati, they don't have the hooded covering, and they're getting a little more acclimated to it.
Well, the Marlins have done a great job so far this season of getting that big double play. That's been a weapon for them defensively. And a little bit below the knees. 1-1 to Loretta, who lined out his first time up to Millar at first base. Mike Lowell just back of the bag at third. Gonzalez and Castillo in a double play position. Vladimir trying to get Loretta to maybe hit the ball on the ground here, and being very deliberate on a cold day. And now he's behind him at 2-1. Kind of day like today, Tommy, just a good idea to throw strikes. Tough day to hit. Feels like the old candlestick. And on a hit and run, a foul ball.
Little wrinkle that Lopes will put in occasionally. He said other than Grissom, he doesn't have a lot of guys that are going to be in straight steal situations, but there are hitters that he'll utilize that hit and run. And that goes back to his Dodger days. You don't see a lot of managers put the hit and run on with runners at first and second. Usually it's just a man on first. But that time, both runners were moving, and Loretta has pretty good bat control. He just fouled it off.
Well, Davey Lopes, 5 years as the first base coach of the San Diego Padres, and served in the same capacity with the Orioles over in the American League, coaching under Bruce Bochy and Johnny Oates when Johnny was in Baltimore. So I'm sure he picked up a few things. But he's very aggressive. And he does not give in. Never gave in as a player, and he's not going to give in as a manager. And now Vladimir has gone to 3-2 on Loretta.
Now, having seen the runners take off in a hit and run situation earlier, you have a good indication on this 3-2 1-out pitch they'll be running again. And mainly because Loretta's the hitter. He has good bat control and a good idea of the strike zone.
Blanco is at second base. Grissom is at first. And he walked him. And now the bases are full of Brewers. And Rich Doobie is coming out for a visit. The time with the cold weather, it looks like Vladimir is having a bit of a tough time getting that feel in that release point.
Well, when you're raised in Cuba, you don't have too many days like this. And he is not used to, I'm sure, to this kind of weather, but he's going to have to try to work through it.
Not too many days like this in Cuba, and Vladimir says, gracias a Dios. He likes it nice and warm. Well, things are getting hot right now because Milwaukee has the bases loaded with only one out. We're tied up at 1-1. And the big guy, Jeremy Burnitz, is coming up to hit. So look out here.
Yeah, Burnett's leading the National League right now with 5 home runs.
Remember Jeremy Burnitz, when he first came up in 1993 in a ball game at Pro Player Stadium against right-hander Ryan Bowen, when he connected for his first major league home run. And that's a moment he'll never forget in South Florida. And now coming up with the bases loaded in a 1-1 tie. 1 ball and no strikes. Burnitz last season 33 home runs and over 100 RBIs in just 133 games. Remember, had a broken hand and he missed a month. And now 2-0, and Nunez continues to struggle finding the plate.
Yeah, the struggles continue, and what he really wanted to do was get ahead after the meeting on the mound with bases loaded, and he's done just the opposite. He's fallen behind 2-0.
Well, you hate to get into a situation where you have to give Burnitz a fastball. But he got one, and Burnitz got under it. Blanco's at third. Grissom at second. Loretta is at first base. Nunez has walked 3 men in this inning. And he is 2-1 to Burnitz. And here it comes. Now 3-1. And a pacing John Bowles. And in the Marlin bullpen, the veteran right-hander Ricky Bones. Sharply hit the Millar. The ball got past him and is heading for the corner. Blanco has scored. Grissom coming in to score. Loretta to third. It's a 2-run single by Burnitz. And Milwaukee has gone ahead 3-1. Now the ball was hit hard, but Millar couldn't come up with it. If he does, well, it's a double play.
Yeah, base hit's being given to Burnitz, but it's a ball that I know Kevin Millar, and we talked about it earlier. He's worked on his fielding. The ball scooted. He didn't get down on it. The ball scooted past him. Burnitz picks up a base hit and gets a couple of RBIs, but it's a ball. You're right. If Kevin Millar, you can see his reaction. He knows he should have that. If he makes the catch, he has at least 1 out and maybe is able to turn a double play.
And now with runners at the corners, Jeff Jenkins, who had a home run his first time up. And here to hit now with only 1 out. And there's a high fly ball to center. Medium depth. Wilson is there. Makes the catch. Loretta tagging. Wilson's throw is too late. He overthrows the cutoff man, and Burnitz winds up at second base. And Milwaukee leads it 4-1.
That's a situation, if you're going to make that throw, you have to keep it down and you have to keep it cuttable, because once it sails over the head, Burnitz just waltzes into second base, and what you've done all of a sudden now, another runner's in scoring position. Chances are pretty slim you're going to throw the runner out on a ball to that area of center field, and Loretta has pretty good speed.
And now here's Jose Hernandez, who takes a call strike. So every guy that Nunez walked in this inning has scored. Blanco, Grissom, and Loretta. Good breaking ball there. Hernandez thought it was strike 3. He was heading back to the dugout. Well, the cold weather can sometimes freeze your mind, I guess.
That's where the walks catch up to you. You know, sooner or later, you can keep bailing yourself out. And yes, a play made here or there may have done that, but sooner or later, those walks catch up to you.
There's the looper into shallow right. There's Katse, the side retired. And so the overthrow, the cutoff man, does not do any damage. But Milwaukee comes up with 3. They leave 1 at the end of 3. Milwaukee leads it here 4-1. Hey, I'll see you back in the 7th.
It's the game show that tests your sports IQ. Tonight at 11 on Fox Sports Net.
Fans follow the Panthers on their quest for the Stanley Cup starting Thursday night with the Panthers tonight at 7 p.m. as they travel to New Jersey to take on the Devils. Our congratulations to the Florida Panthers. Pavel Bure with an incredible season. Ray Whitney, one of our favorites, of course, and on their way to postseason play. It's a great feeling. Well, not so great here in Milwaukee so far. It's early, top of the 4th, but Milwaukee with a 4-1 lead. I'm Dave O'Brien along with Tommy Hutton. Vladimir Nunez, Tommy, there is no defense against the base on balls. I know I'm not the first to say it. They've said it for 100 years, but Vladimir walked 3 and they all scored.
Yeah, they all scored. Sooner or later, it seems to catch up to you.
Millar 0 for 1 with a fly at right field. And takes a called strike. It's 1-1. Millar to be followed by Gonzalez and then Redmond, as the Marlins try and do some damage here against Jimmy Haynes. So far, the Fish with 3 hits. Did he go? He did. First base umpire Mark Wegner ringing him up. Get another look at that half a swing.
Sometimes you're a little too quick on a day like this because you want to get that bat head out.
The 1-2 misses away. Haynes, 27 years old, spent last season with the A's. He went 7-12 with a high ERA of 6.34. He was quite hittable. A fly to right, but slicing foul, and that one will head into the seats. I'm sure Kevin Millar feels like he should have made the play on the hot smash inside first. It went as a hit off the bat of Burnitz. Not an easy play, certainly not routine. Didn't quite get that glove down.
No, you could tell by his reaction. That's exactly what he felt.
Vladimir Nunez talking things over with Luis Castillo. Fly foul again by Millar. The Marlins are getting some very good cuts off of Jimmy Haynes, and that's why you look at a 4-1 game. You know, if this were Maddox on the mound, you'd really be worried only in the 4th inning. But this is a guy who last year gave up 158 hits in 142 innings. He also walked 80 batters, and he's capable of coming unglued in a heartbeat. Another fly to right field, slicing. Burnitz on the run. He won't get there, but it is foul. And you see down into that corner, only 315 feet. It's also the same distance to left field. So it's a cozy little park in Milwaukee.
Tell you, the only little thing that worries me about Jimmy Haynes when you talk about how he is hittable, and he certainly is when you look at his numbers. Last year, in his 7 wins, he was 7-12. In the games that he won, his ERA was 2.06. In the 12 losses, his ERA was almost 8. So it was either castle
yeah,
or basement for him.
Thought you were going to go with outhouse there for a moment.
Well, I thought about that one, but
the 2-2.
I couldn't have continued that.
The count is full here on Millar. Well, one thing about Haynes today, his command has been pretty good. He's only walked 1 hitter, and that was Brant Brown in the 1st. The payoff pitch. And again, Millar protects and knocks it foul.
One thing Kevin's pretty good at when he has 2 strikes. He knows how he has to give a little bit with 2 strikes, and he'll foul off some tough pitches. He'll upset pitchers a little bit.
He did well against Milwaukee last year. He hit .364 against the Brewers. Grounds that one, takes a friendly hop for Barker, who feeds underhand to Haynes for the out. That one popped up very nicely for the first baseman Barker, who's already been charged with an error today. 1 man away in the 4th. Let's check out the Aflac trivia question now. Who holds the county stadium record for most home runs in a season in this ballpark? And the answer is coming up shortly. The next man in, Alex Gonzalez. He's flying to right field, 0 for 1. Alex has taken a big ouch against Milwaukee the last couple of seasons, last year's rookie year and now this year. He is 4 for 37 all time against them. Little flare here, and Grissom will not be able to get it. That's going to fall in for a base hit. So off the end of his bat, but he got it in for a single.
A little bit better approach the last two at bats in this game for Alex Gonzalez. He flied deep to right field his first time up, hit that ball well, and so he's trying to stay back and wait a little longer, and he was able to do so. And by doing that, many times good things happen. Off the end of the bat, didn't hit it well, but Grissom not able to get to it, so he'll take it. Can I take a guess at the trivia question?
By all means.
And it is a guess.
Sure.
This isn't one that I'm going to throw out there.
Okay.
I'm going to guess Gorman Thomas.
Okay. Fly by Redmond to right field. Burnett starting to back up now and with room to make the catch. So 2 men out. Vladimir Nunez will come up and bat for himself here in the top half of the 4th inning. First time up, Vladimir able to smash one to first base. A play that Barker should have made, but he did not. It went right under the wicket, and it cost a run, this error.
And I think that's why it's important for pitchers to at least try to make contact. And by making contact, Barker made that error, and the Marlins did get the first run of the game.
But it's a pitcher-pitcher matchup here. That one hit sharply, too short for a forced play to end the inning. That's all for the Marlins. They get a base hit, but no more than that. We're in the middle of the 4th on a frosty day here in Milwaukee, and the Brewers lead it over the Marlins 4-1.
Now it's perfect.
Greg, we have a problem.
Nextel, how business gets done.
Bottom of the 4th, time for the answer to our Aflac trivia question, which was who holds the county stadium record for most home runs in a season. And the answer,
well, the answer, I guessed Gorman Thomas, but I don't think it is.
I guessed Henry Aaron. Oh, Joe Adcock and Eddie Matthews. They tied with 23 in this park in '56 and 1960. They had some pretty darn good teams playing here.
Couple of mashers. Eddie Matthews over 500 home runs in his career. Third baseman. Joe Adcock, big, strong hitting first baseman.
The temperature at game time, 34 degrees with the wind blowing in, 34 with the wind blowing in from left. I don't know what that means for wind chill, Tommy, but I do know it's cold.
It means that it makes it less than 34.
Somewhere around maybe 16, 20 degrees, somewhere in there. Kevin Barker to lead off in the 4th inning for Milwaukee. The Brewers ahead 4-1 over the Marlins. Milwaukee got 3 in the home half of the 3rd on 3 walks, a single, and a sacrifice fly. Barker 0 for 1. He started the day at .455 with a homer and a couple of RBIs. Good-looking young hitter, 24 years old. He has some power. He's a rookie. In fact, last year in the minor leagues, the 1999 Minor League Player of the Year for the Brewers, he hit 23 home runs at Louisville. Did he offer at that pitch? No, according to third base ump Mike Winters.
I think the thing that really has impressed the Brewers about Barker, if you look at his minor league numbers, the last 3 years in the minor leagues, he's driven in over 100 runs. So this guy's a run producer.
The 1-2. He did not get the call. 2-2.
Big inning, Obi, right here for Vladimir. I think after his struggles in the 3rd inning with the 3 walks and 3 runs coming in, I think he needs to reestablish some control out there on the mound.
Fly toward left center, but Brant Brown covering the ground makes the catch. Cliff Floyd still unable to start, although it looks like he'll be able to the day after tomorrow. And in fact, if the Marlins played a game tomorrow, they don't. They have the day off. If they did, he'd probably be able to go.
Yeah, I think what John Bowles told us is that he wants to give Cliff not only this day, but because of the off day tomorrow, it'll give him 2 more days. He was a little concerned not too many days ago. They had snow on the outfield, so it's a little slippery out there. So he was concerned about that. So a couple of more days for Cliff will be good.
Ron Belliard, the hitter, struck out his first time up. Belliard, not a big guy, about 5'8". You see he's hitting .385, so he has started quickly. Rounds that one to the middle. Gonzalez will have to hustle, and does. 2 down.
Good start so far for Vladdy in this inning to have a nice inning.
He'll try to make it 1-2-3 facing Henry Blanco, who walked and scored his first trip.
Really admire the way Vladimir Nunez has worked at his English. Always takes an opportunity to stop and converse in English because he wants to get better.
The native of Havana, yes, he really does, and takes pride in it. He wants to be able to do interviews in both languages, in his native tongue and also in English. He's come a long, long way. Blanco at .313, a native of Venezuela, born in Caracas. Chops that one to Mike Lowell. Mike with a lengthy throw, but gets him. So indeed a good bounce back inning for Vladimir Nunez, who needs some run support now. We've wrapped up 4 innings on Milwaukee's opening day at home. The Brewers ahead 4-1.
What did I miss?
That was fast.
What did I miss?
Dad, popcorn.
Guy, what did I miss?
Alex Fernandez struck out 3. I caught this. We were on the big screen.
Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, my nachos.
For Marlins tickets, visit the Pro Player Stadium box office, Marlins in Miami store, or call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050.
Athletes.
I never told anybody, so I'll tell you.
Going deep.
Chris Myers.
Sundays at 7 on Fox Sports Net.
Today's game is brought to you in part by Sherwin-Williams. We welcome you back to Milwaukee, where they certainly know how to dress for this kind of weather. All bundled up, even while building a brand new retractable dome ballpark, which they're doing even as opening day is ensuing right across the street. That's Miller Park, which will be ready for opening day in 2001. Whether or not the Marlins will be invited back for that particular opening day, I don't know, but they were supposed to be playing inside that ballpark right now.
And Milwaukee's finest, hard at work.
They're taking a little break,
You're gonna
Tommy.
take a little break when it's opening day. Come on.
Take a little break, catch some baseball. So, you know, if I could hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball or throw one, I'd be doing that right now. Luis Castillo leading off. He is 0 for 2. He's grounded out to third and grounded back to the mound. You're not going to see many all-around performances by a big league second baseman that match or are better than what Luis had yesterday against the Colorado Rockies. Made 3 spectacular defensive plays, one of them with the bases loaded, ranging into the outfield, that saved the ball game. He also had a double, which he sliced deep to left field. He bunted for a hit, and he drew his 10th base on balls. He leads the majors in walks with 10.
Yeah, his offense and defense had an impact on the game. A lot of times you can have a big game, but it might not have a big impact on the outcome of the game.
But he certainly did. He had his fingerprints all over that victory. Looking to get on to begin this inning. Top half of the 5th. Milwaukee up 4-1. The Marlins about to get their 3rd look at right-hander Jimmy Haynes. Fouled away just off the plate by Luis. Let's look at some of those defensive gems by the second baseman yesterday.
Yeah, you're talking an 8th inning situation too, on a ball that was deflected by Bonus. The only play he had was the force at second base, and he was able to complete it. And then watch this little flip. Walker hit the ball. That was his only chance. Flip it out of the glove.
Yeah, well, you make a good point too. Larry Walker, the man who was running. Larry could fly up that first base line, so that's all Castillo could do. And I think that's what separates the real good from the great defensive infielders, middle infielders. Those guys who can get creative like that at the spur of the moment. like Castillo and Alomar. Jose Lean used to be that way. There's another walk for Castillo, who has been such a great table setter. His 11th walk in 8 games. And Luis on for the first time today. His on-base percentage coming in was almost 600.
Now's a good opportunity with the Marlins trailing by 3 to try to get back in the ballgame, try to score some runs. You have your leadoff man on to start things, and a good part of the order coming up.
Castillo has never tried to steal a base against Haynes. He's looking at his moves for the first time. Ball 1 to Kotze. Mark is 0 for 2. Mark, like most of his teammates today, in fact everybody in the starting lineup except for Mike Redmond, coming from a very warm climate. Now the Milwaukee Brewers, they're used to playing in this kind of weather in April, heck even in May, and in September they play in conditions fairly close. But you got Mark Kotze, who is from Southern California. He's Los Angeles all the way. The man at first base, Luis Castillo from the Dominican Republic. The on-deck hitter, Brant Brown, is from California. Kevin Millar is from the L.A. area. Alex Gonzalez is from Venezuela. The pitcher, Vladdy Nunez, he's from Cuba. Not unusual in baseball, of course, to have Florida and California, the Dominican and South America very representable. But I mean, at least Milwaukee plays in this stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah, and the fact that they opened the season in Cincinnati and St. Louis and had some cold weather too.
Sure. The Marlins coming from sunny and 75. Castillo gets back in. Mark hit the ball very well against Milwaukee last year. A .323 average when facing the Brewers. He was 10 for 32. Castillo again dives back in. This gives Louis a chance to warm up. I do notice he's not wearing the heavy, like jersey style undershirt with that hood on it.
Yeah, he had it on earlier. He also is trying to get a read on Haynes' move. Sometimes a runner will take that big lead, a one-way lead.
Fly toward the alley in right center. Burnett's on the run. Will he get it? No, it falls in. Castillo rounds second and on his way to third. So Mark Kotze drops in a lengthy base hit, and the Marlins have trouble brewing in Milwaukee. First and third, and nobody out.
Good stroke by Mark Kotze. Pitch out over the plate. A good pitch by Haynes. Had a little dive to it. Kotze stayed on it. Burnett couldn't get to it. I want to get back to that one-way lead. You mentioned Luis Castillo not knowing Haynes' move. Well, a runner will take a one-way lead, meaning that he's thinking of going back to first base. All he wants to do is get off far enough to make Haynes throw over there so he can get a read and an idea of what kind of move he has.
He was able to go first to third on the base hit. Here's Brant Brown taking a strike. Brown had been 0 for 9 in his Marlin career until yesterday when he picked up a single and a double. He has a batting average up to 143, and it's RBI time now for Brant. With Castillo at third. The throw goes to force Kotze back.
Well, in the ball game yesterday, Brant Brown facing a guy he's owned. Came into the game 9 for 18 against Pedro Estacio and rang a double.
Lined into left center field for a base hit. He hit it sharply. Castillo comes in to score as Kotze stops at second base. So the Marlins are building something here. It's now 4-2. The Milwaukee lead is down to a couple. And a visit from the pitching coach for Haynes. And remember, nobody out. We talked about it going into the inning, how Haynes has been very hittable, and actually the Marlins have gotten some excellent swings throughout the day. They've now out-hit Milwaukee 6-2.
You know, you were talking about the different players and where they grew up. Brant Brown, a Californian, however, he did spend some time with the Chicago Cubs, and I was talking to him today about some of the openers in the early season games at Wrigley Field, and he said, oh yeah, he's been around in some cold weather.
Yeah. He said, I just wish that we played all these games in Milwaukee in the daytime, because at night it's going to get ridiculous.
Nice stroke by Brant. Fastball moving away, didn't try to pull it, just stroked it into left center field. Good solid swing. He loves that ball down and out over the plate. And after that visit, by the way, Haynes got his visit from his pitching coach, Bob Apodaca. He's ready to go.
The Marlins with runners at first and second, and Preston Wilson, the cleanup man, in. He's 1 for 2 with a single today. And takes a breaking ball for strike one. And sometimes the track record is important, sometimes it is not, but Preston Wilson hit .368 against the Brewers last year with 1 home run. Outside, 1-1.
You know, the way pitching staffs and teams change nowadays, sometimes it's hard to make those numbers hold up. But on the other hand, sometimes it's just a familiar situation. You may just feel better in some ballparks.
Wilson with a good eye, 2 balls and 1 strike. The Marlins have taken a couple of walks in this one. Wilson, the leading Marlin hitter with men in scoring position, and has 2 more ducks on the pond, as they say here. The inning started with Luis Castillo taking a base on balls. The Marlins have drawn more walks than their opponents in the first week of the season. Grounded to third. Up with it, Hernandez to second. 1, no double play. And how about the takeout effort of Brant Brown? I don't think Wilson would have been thrown out at first even if the relay had gone there. But Brant Brown made darn sure of it as he upended the fielder. Men on the corners.
Well, that's right. As a runner, you can't assume that they're not going to turn 2. You have to do your job, and Brant Brown came in hard, legal, did his job. Belliard never had a chance to make a throw. I'm sure you're right. He would not have gotten Preston because Preston runs so well. But remember that play, because now with 1 down, the Marlins have a good chance to pick up another run. If the Brewers turn 2, it's a much different story.
1 away from Mike Lowell, who's gone 1 for 2, but each time up, he's hit the ball very hard. That one fly to dead away center, and that should bring in a run. Grissom makes the catch. Here comes Mark Kotsay, and the Marlins are just 1 run down now. It is 4-3. The one thing that is obviously emerging about this Marlin team, they never feel that they're going to be out of a ball game. They've been coming back on opponents in every series so far, and they're doing it again today.
I think a lot of things go into the Marlins having a nice inning here in the 5th inning, and it all goes back to the bottom of the 4th inning. Vladimir Nunez was able to go out and shut down the Brewers 1-2-3. They got back on the offense. They've been able to get a couple of runs, and Mike Lowell's had some good swings today.
He picks up an RBI, and 9 RBIs for Lowell. Kevin Millar has 6 himself. And an extra base hit by Millar means this baby is all tied up. He's 0 for 2. Preston Wilson at first base. He has above average speed and a pitch. Grounded toward the middle. Loretta gets there and flips for the force play, and that's all. But the Marlins get themselves back in it. They score a couple of runs on 2 hits. And Vladimir Nunez has to do just what he did an inning ago. Shut him down and breeze through the inning. Haynes, Grissom, and Loretta due up for Milwaukee.
I wonder what would happen if my beer was ever lost or stolen. I mean, how would I be able to prove it's mine? So I'm thinking, mine's the one with the head that's exactly 2.3 fingers thick. It's the one with the color that stops sunlight dead in its tracks. And it's the one that never, ever tastes watered down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could pick my beer out of a police lineup if I had to. Ice brewed so there's never any watered down taste. Ice House. Enjoy.
The Last Word, weeknights at 6:30 and 11:30 on Fox Sports Net.
It is all good.
The Florida Marlins present Family Sunday when the Marlins take on the Phillies Sunday, April 23rd at 1:05. The first 15,000 fans in attendance receive a baseball card holder courtesy of Major League Baseball. For tickets, call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050. There's Miller Park, and there is Vladimir Nunez, who after walking 3 men in the third, giving up 3 runs, set them down 1-2-3 in the 4th inning. The pitcher Jimmy Haynes is up, and then it's Grissom and Loretta. Last out of the 5th inning. Nice to have you with us today for the Brewers home opener. This time they've been home. after stops in Cincinnati and St. Louis. They're right at 500 at 3-3. The Marlins off to a very nice 4-3 start.
Where the Brewers ran into a South Florida product yesterday in St. Louis. 20-year-old rookie left-hander Rick Ankiel. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. Gave up just 3 hits to Milwaukee.
And he's a rookie, so he just took a big lead in the Rookie of the Year race, and down goes Haynes on strikes. That is strikeout number 2 for Vladimir Nunez.
Yeah, Rick Ankiel out of Port St. Lucie.
So 1 man out. Marquise Grissom will get on up to hit. He has popped up and drawn a walk. So 5 in a row retired by Nunez, trying to get in the same kind of groove that Ryan Dempster had on Sunday afternoon when he retired 12 in a row at one stretch and picked up the win with 9 strikeouts in an excellent effort. Strike 1 on Marquise.
I know you and I were talking to Ryan. He had done his running, donned his running clothes, and took off around the stadium.
Hit deep to center field. Wilson on his horse. That one's going to be over his head. It'll be an extra base hit. Grissom digging for 2, and he has the double. So Marquise Grissom with a wicked line drive. Weston had no chance on that one, and the veteran is into scoring position.
Notice how Grissom has that open stance a little bit and almost steps away, but he keeps that upper half in. Very solid swing and generates some good bat speed with the quickness in his hands. That ball really took off. It jumped. Getting back to Ryan Dempster, though, and he was pleased, and we commented to him the way he was able to come back and settle down after that second inning. He had a rough second inning, but he came back after that and pitched extremely well.
Number 8, shortstop.
Demp all bundled up. He won't pitch again until Wrigley Field in Chicago. Said he loves this weather.
Yeah, after his jaunt and his run around, he said, hey, they like to party around here, don't they?
Yeah. Loretta takes one high, ball 1, and they were partying away. It's like a football crowd on a Sunday during the NFL season. Everybody out there tailgating, cooking up the sausages and the brats and the hot dogs. There might have been a beer or 2 consumed out there.
I saw a lot of tomato juice.
Did you? Tomato juice? Yeah, everyone keeping it healthy. 2-0 on Loretta. Mark Loretta, for a number of years, said, you know, I really want to learn how to play a musical instrument. And he was fascinated by the sound of the violin. And he's actually playing the violin right now. His wife, Hillary, at Christmas time, went out and kind of called his bluff. She bought him a violin. She said, all right, no more talking about it. I want to see you play it. He's taking violin lessons and learning it. You don't see many big leaguers pick up a violin.
Not the kind of thing you see in a clubhouse too often.
No, I don't think he would dare bring it in the clubhouse. I have a feeling that wouldn't go over swimmingly.
So he's not going to bring the Stradivarius on the road trip, right?
I don't know if she sprung for one of those. I don't know if she mortgaged the house and sold the cars. 2-1. Now 3 balls and 1 strike. So he struck out Haynes. But Nunez has now allowed a double to Grissom. He's fallen behind 3-1 on Loretta. And here's their big gun, Jeremy Burnitz, the slugger, on deck. A strike, and the count is full. Vladimir searching for his first victory of the year 2000, but it'll have to be a comeback win. The Marlins trailing by 1, and Grissom in scoring position. Fouled away.
Yeah, last year Vladimir won 7 games, but 3 of those were with Arizona. He was 3-2 with the Diamondbacks, all in relief, and really didn't make his first major league start until he was a member of the Marlins back on July 26th. He started Pittsburgh.
The Marlins head-to-head against Milwaukee last year. They won the season series 5-4. Grounded to short, the runner to move up. Gonzalez with the flip. That retires Loretta, but Grissom to third base. And now let's see how Nunez pitches to Jeremy Burnett, if he does at all, with first base open.
Yeah, there's so much can be said, I think, for momentum in a baseball game, how it goes back and forth. And with the Marlins scoring 2 in the top half of the 5th to make it a 4-3 ball game, I think it's important. Again, we talked about the importance of the inning before, but again, it carries over for Vladimir to shut down the Brewers. If they pick up this run here, all of a sudden they're back to a 2-run lead.
Ball 1 to Burnett, who has hit 5 home runs, more than anybody in the majors. Today a 2-run single. He's gone 1 for 2. He is a fearsome slugger, but he says, I'm not a free swinger. I will take my walks. And he drew 91 walks last year. 2-0.
You know, he had a lot of highlights last year, but I'm sure one of the ones that he enjoyed the most, number 1, was maybe the All-Star team, but finishing second to Ken Griffey Jr. in the home run hitting contest.
Indeed. In Boston at Fenway on that glorious night in New England. It is ball 3. Hit some towering shots there. He has something else in common with Ken Griffey. They both have the same size bat. A 34-inch, 31-ounce black Louisville slugger. Outside ball 4, and obviously Nunez didn't want any part of him. With the base open, he walks him. That's the 4th base on balls, and here comes John Bowles, and he is going to make a move right now with runners at 1st and 3rd. He has Almanza with Jeff Jenkins about to bat. So Almanza, the lefty, will be brought in, and despite the fact that Nunez zipped through the 4th inning, Bowlesy obviously doesn't like what he sees too much out there. And he'll explain exactly the problem here to Nunez. It's time for the Nextel call to the bullpen, and we'll be right back.
Well, when I got hurt and missed work, thought I had supplemental insurance.
Supplemental insurance? What's that?
Aflac. Well, even best insurance doesn't give you cash to cover things like lost pay, other expenses. This does.
What does? Aflac?
Shouldn't ask about it at work.
Really? And what's it called?
Including a full range of Ranger parts. Discount Auto Parts. The place to start when you need parts.
Well, there you see it, the score. The Brewers on top by a run, and I'll give you about 3 reasons why John Bowles has made this move here to bring in Armando Almanza to face the left-handed swinging Jeff Jenkins. Number 1, Vladimir about in the mid-80s range with his pitches. He's thrown quite a few pitches to this point. I also think the importance of the situation at hand, runners at 1st and 3rd, and with the game, a close game, John Bowles doesn't want the Brewers to get another run. I think he's showing and telling us the importance of getting Jenkins and keeping Grissom at 3rd base. And also the fact that Jenkins has a couple of RBIs, one with a sac fly and one with this. Got a little fork ball that didn't do much, and Jenkins back in the 2nd inning hammered one for a solo shot, his 2nd home run of the year. So those 3 things probably all led to John Bowles making that decision. Vladimir Nunez threw 86 pitches.
Jeff Jenkins, who is a dead ringer for a little Brett Favre, isn't he? Looks just like the quarterback of the Packers. Play a couple hours north of here. 269 with a couple of home runs. So 1st and 3rd here for Milwaukee. Almanza has 2 out. Jenkins, a good young hitter, swings right through the 1st pitch.
And certainly the move as far as making the right one left-handed. Look what he's done against lefties this year. Last year he hit .259 against lefties, .326 against right-handers.
The Brewers love his bat speed. Very quick bat and power to all fields, really. Out of Southern Cal. Boy, Almanza's muscled up, and 2 blistering fastballs right by him. Grissom over at 3rd base, and Burnett, who pretty much was intentionally walked, over at 1st.
Not so sure if Vladimir would have done that had he known he was going to be lifted after the walk.
Yeah, great point. Maybe he would have decided to pitch to him. Fouled out of play, and on Vladimir Nunez for the 2nd straight outing, he goes short, 4 and a 3rd. There were plenty of short outings last year as well, which raises the issue of his stamina as a starter. Remember, Arizona had him as a relief pitcher. The Marlins converted him into a starter. So far, mixed results. He gives up 4 runs, walks 4 so far. The 2 men on base are also his responsibility. Breaking ball, strike 3, got him looking. Boy, did he set him up. Fastball, curve, and gone. Almanza, who did this throughout last season, does a wonderful job and holds here in the 5th. 2 men left as the hook strikes out Jenkins. Still 4-3 Milwaukee.
No! On the horizon! The convertibles are coming! Hey, the new convertibles are here! Woo!
Yes, the new Toyota convertibles are here. The MR2 Spider and Camry Solara. And to celebrate, we're offering great lease deals, like the full-size V8 Tundra for $299 a month for 48 months with $1798 due at lease signing.
Biggest athletes.
I never told anybody, so I'll tell you.
Going deep.
Chris Myers.
Sundays at 7 on Fox Sports Net.
4-3 is the score. We go to the 6th inning. We're going to give you more for your buck here on opening day in Milwaukee. Instead of our Discount Auto Parts power pitch, how about a Discount Auto Parts power sequence? Fastball blows it by him, strike 1. Another fastball, strike 2. Fastball fouled off. How about a curveball for strike 3?
And I feel so much better when I get a deal like that, Tommy, especially on a home opener like today. Thank you so much. Alex Gonzalez takes a strike from Jimmy Haynes, who are underway in the 6th inning. Milwaukee ahead 4-3. The Marlins tightened it up with a pair of scores in the 5th. Almanza really bailing out the Marlins and bailing out Vladimir Nunez, although Nunez has no shot at a victory. But he kept another run or 2 from being scored, doing some great pitching against Jenkins. Fouled away. Gonzalez is 1 for 2. He has singled, and he has also flied out to right field. Alex sporting a batting average of 100. It's just been a bad start for Alex. He'd be better off just putting away the first week and acting like it never happened. He lunged and popped it up into right. Out goes Belliard to make the one-hand grab. Ron Belliard showing off some nice range. He came to camp, spring training, 18 pounds overweight. He's only 5'8", weighs about 200 pounds now. But Davey Lopes, his new manager, said, I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what any of them look like. I only care how they play.
Well, I think the thing that impressed Davey Lopes, he also, Belliard did, dislocated his thumb. They didn't think he'd be ready opening day. And he has been, and he is, and he's playing exceptionally well.
He's a cousin of the former Braves shortstop, terrific glove man, Rafael Belliard.
Certainly with a lot more power, though.
A lot more power. He's a guy that could hit 15, 18 home runs at the big league level. Mike Redmond knocks a foul into the seats. You know, as we were filing out of the hotel this morning, Tommy, we had an early bus. A lot of guys were on. Mike Redmond made the trip with us. Freezing cold, heading over to County Stadium, and everyone was a little grim, you know, early, freezing and everything, except for this guy. He had a huge smile on his face. He couldn't wait to get to County Stadium. And Mike's always happy, but this is his favorite park on the face of the earth. Broke in here in '98, as you guys have talked about, going 3 for 3 with a homer. Has another hit today, so he is 8 out of 12 lifetime in this park.
Well, that's exactly why, and we told the story earlier, why he was one of the first to get off the bus. We were kind of waiting out in nowhere land, and Redmond took about 6 or 7 other guys, said, hey, let's go.
Let's go. I want to get in there and hit. And he did it again, lining one into right field. Redmond has said, because this is the only trip for the Marlins here this year to Milwaukee, and they will never again play in County Stadium, he said, when I leave on Thursday, I'm going to take a seat with me. I don't care what they say. I'm going to go grab a seat.
Number 55.
Might be a little easier to take a little dirt or some grass, but he'll go for the seat.
Yeah, he's 2 for 3. There are a few empty seats in the upper left-hand corner. Maybe he could grab number 26 there. No one would miss it. So Almanza to try and bunt him over. He takes low for ball 1. Well, the Marlins have reached Jimmy Haynes for 7 hits. They have all been singles. So someone has to come up with an extra base knock here and shake him up a little. Redmond gets his lead. The bunt attempt. Well, he didn't offer at it, and the count's 2-0. Haynes hasn't thrown him a strike.
Well, the way that Armando pitched the last inning to strike out Jenkins, he's going to stay in the game. You've got Hernandez and then Barker. Barker, a left-hander, to bat the next inning. And I also think John Bowles wants to give a little rest. I don't believe Braden Looper is going to pitch today. I think he'd like to give him a little time off today.
Dan Maselli is available. Throw to first base, and Redmond scoots back.
And it's enticing at this time of year, but you certainly don't want to blow out that bullpen too early.
The 2-0. He bunts at it. The pitcher has to feel this will get the job done. A sacrifice, and Redmond advances to second base with 2 out. And it's the top of the order now, and Luis Castillo.
Very nicely done by Armando Almanza, because you figure relief pitchers don't get too many opportunities to stand in there and drop down a sacrifice bunt. And he did it as if he'd been doing it for 20 years.
No baseball tomorrow. The Marlins have the day off. Back at it on Wednesday night here in Milwaukee. Jesus Sanchez against Jaime Navarro. And on Thursday, it'll be Brad Penny against Jason Beret. Penny coming off a tremendous major league debut and a victory. He goes in with a 1-0 record and with a full head of steam. Luis Castillo 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. He batted .321 against Milwaukee last year. In fact, Castillo batted .300 or better against half of the teams he faced in '99. That is low for ball 2. So the Marlins are getting closer to tying this one up. Redmond in scoring position. A single should drive in Mike and tie it. That's a fastball, strike 2-1.
The only things working against the Marlins right here is that Luis Castillo, if he hits a single, the outfield is shallow, and Mike Redmond doesn't run well. So I'm sure Freddie would think about sending him.
Grounded to third, and that will do it. So no base hit to drive in that run. And the Marlins have now left at least one runner on in every single inning. And stranded 7 men on base so far. Almanza will come on out to pitch again, the bottom of the 6th. It is 4-3 Milwaukee.
So many buttons. By the way, don't eat the fish.
Not everyone should be as honest as we are. Tire Kingdom, honest service and the lowest prices.
Fans, the Florida Marlins and Bank of America present the first player magnet night when the Marlins take on the Phillies Friday, April 21st at 7:05. The first 15,000 fans receive a magnet number 1 featuring Mark Kotze, courtesy of Bank of America. For tickets, call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050. Dave O'Brien and Tommy the Brat Hutton with you, as Armando Almanza, very impressive in his last inning, striking out the tough Jeff Jenkins, goes to work in the bottom of the 6th.
You know, when you think about it, even in the ball game yesterday when John Bowles went to the bullpen and Almanza came in that 8th inning, that was like pulling teeth. He made a great pitch to Todd Helton. Helton had a single. That was the only man he faced, but he hit a curveball off the shoe tops.
Jose Hernandez leading off the bottom of the 6th. He's flied out to left and to right, hitting 179, so a slow start for him. Playing for his 3rd club in 2 years. Hernandez played for the Cubs last year for 99 games. He was traded over to Atlanta for 48 games, but he lost his everyday job to Walt Weiss. Come playoff time, Walt Weiss was the shortstop again. This guy has a little bit of power. He may not look it. He's kind of lean and wiry, but he is strong. He had 23 home runs for the Cubs in '98.
Yeah, he's been very versatile. And all of a sudden now, as a Brewer, though, they have him settled in at third base.
A fly to right center field. Wilson backing up. Kotze over 2, but the center fielder takes command. 1 away in the 6th.
Number 22.
Everybody bundled up today as much as possible. And Preston Wilson's from South Carolina, certainly not used to this kind of weather like the cheeseheads here in Milwaukee. Some like it more than others, and some pitch in it and play in it more than others. Alex Fernandez, for one, has a great time pitching in this weather. Remember that gem he threw in Chicago at Wrigley Field in '97?
Nice little one-hit piece.
Yeah. Had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning, 9th inning. Kevin Barker, the hitter, he is 0 for 2. One away in the 6th on a 34-degree day in Milwaukee. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And you know what, Obi? Speaking of it, Alex Fernandez will open up that 4-game series at Wrigley Field on Friday. Alex will pitch against left-hander Scott Downs.
All the games in Chicago will be afternoon tilts starting at 2:20. He blew that one right by Barker. Monza, when he gets that fastball to rise up, is awfully tough to hit. And then he can come right back with a curveball. He did it against Jenkins. It's a very sharp curve. Let's see if he does it again here on 2-2. Well, a fastball to get him. So if you try and guess along with him, well, I certainly wouldn't have had any luck. The fastball to the outside corner.
That's how a hitter gets frozen up at the plate, and that's what happened to Barker. You see a fastball away, miss with a breaking ball, miss with another fastball. Now he chases the high fastball, thinks he might get a breaking ball, and he's frozen.
2 down and a second strikeout for Almanza. Now he faces Belliard, who's gone 0 for 2, and he's K'd once. Belliard has not hit a home run, but he's hitting .370. He has good pop for a little guy. He hit 22 home runs in the minors 2 years ago. The bases are clean with 2 away, and the Marlins trail 4-3. That one hit up the middle for a clean base hit. Belliard takes a very wide turn. He settles for a single.
One thing that Davey Lopes has said about what he wants to inject into this ball club, and you saw it in that nice hard turn by Ron Belliard. He has a veteran coaching staff, and he has said, well, if the players all of a sudden forget about what they're supposed to do, I have some guys around here who will remind them. Guys like Chris Spire, who spent 15 years in the big leagues, Hall of Famer Rod Carew, Jerry Royster, and Davey himself. That's the way he played.
A 2-out single sends up Henry Blanco, who has walked and grounded out. Belliard hustling back in. Yes, saw the great Rod Carew working with the Milwaukee hitters today before the game. He was down on a knee, underhand tossing as the hitters swung into the mesh, the net, trying to get ready. Nice spear job by Redmond to save a wild pitch. 1-0 on Blanco. There's the Hall of Famer Rod Carew, one of the great hitters of recent vintage, and a great bunter. Boy, could he handle the bat. Shorten up, drop it down, and go.
3,053 hits, 328 lifetime batting average.
Off the corner, 2-0. Vladimir Nunez started for the Marlins, and for the second straight time lasted just 4 1/3 innings. Well, the big brat race is just around the corner, and they're warming up in the brat pen. I'm not sure exactly how they do that. I'm not positive. I want to know how you warm up a brat for
you put
the brat race.
You put it in the microwave. What do you think?
I know, Tommy, you revel in the moment when that gate opens up and the brats spill out onto the field. Popped up by Blanco and out of play.
I actually revel in the moment when the brats spill right out in front of me here.
Yeah, rolled down about 6 or 7 of those.
Yeah, Bernie Brewer.
Now, is he still on a home run? Does he slide down the slide? They have a slide for him anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Guess it's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Into the Go Brewers mug. This is the kind of entertainment time you only get in the Midwest. I mean, for example, they play polkas in between innings, and no other major league stadium around today, and thank God for that, plays a polka to entertain the fans. Different culture here in Milwaukee. And I know you love it. The runner goes, and it's fouled back by Blanco.
Nothing like a little Al Yankovic between innings.
And you know, you show up in a pink hat thinking you're going to be original or something, and you look around in your section and, oh, for crying out loud, why didn't I go with the blue hat today? Belliard leading at first, takes off again, and that one headed for the gap, but Kotze started back and now in to make the catch for out number 3. 1 hit, no runs. Our score has not changed since the 5th when the Marlins got 2 to close the gap. Joe Angel comes your way next. Milwaukee up by 1. By 1.
I wonder what would happen if my beer was ever lost or stolen. I mean, how would I be able to prove it's mine? So I'm thinking, mine's the one with the head that's exactly 2.3 fingers thick. It's the one with the color that stops sunlight dead in its tracks. And it's the one that never, ever tastes watered down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could pick my beer out of a police lineup if I had to. Ice brewed so there's never any watered down taste. Ice House. Enjoy.
Well, when I got hurt and missed work, thought I had supplemental.
Nights at 6:30 and 11:30 on Fox Sports Net.
It is all good.
Well, you heard Dave O'Brien talking about it. Always one of his favorites here at County Stadium in Milwaukee. You've got the Polish sausage, you have the Italian sausage, you have the bratwurst. And it usually comes down to, dare I say, neck and neck at the end. And once again, a very close race, but I believe the Polish sausage was the out-and-out winner. Well, we've gone from the ridiculous to now baseball. Here's Matt Williams. The Milwaukee Brewers are making a change right now, and that's going to be all for Jimmy Haynes. So Davey Lopes dips into his bullpen, and he goes to the left-hander, Matt Williams, who made his major league debut in Cincinnati on April 5th. Came into a ball game to face the left-handed hitting catcher of the Cincinnati Reds, Eddie Taubensee. He was picked up by the Brewers in the Rule 5 draft from the Yankees, so he came up in the Yankee system. So it's going to be up to Matt Williams as far as the Marlins are concerned here in the 7th inning to try to catch up to the Brewers and pick up a few more runs. It'll be Mark Kotze and then Brant Brown, a couple of left-handers. That's why Davey Lopes made that move. And then the cleanup man, Preston Wilson. So with Mark Kotze stepping in, Joe Angel is about to do the same thing.
And not a moment too soon. Thank you, Tommy. You know, it's a very cold day in Milwaukee, and, well, you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
See ya.
Kotze goes right through it. I just took a walk outside briefly. Tommy, my suspicions have been confirmed. It's freezing out there. Kotze takes inside. I mean, it is bitter cold out there right now. As you can see, the fans have come prepared. You gotta love it. Strike on the inside corner. Katze not at all in agreement there. Marcus 1 for 3 and a single and a run scored his last time up in the 5th inning. Mark again hitting in that number 2 hole this afternoon. And the count stays at a ball and 2 strikes.
One thing, Joe, that Katze's always done pretty well, and that is stay in and hit for a pretty good average against left-handers. Last year, 271 against righties, 272 against lefties.
Now the appeal to third, and this time Katze gets the call. I figure Tommy Katze has to benefit from hitting in that number 2 hole behind Luis Castillo. It's got to make him a little more patient hitter. Got to be able to work the count. As a number 2 hitter, and he was talking about that before the game today, you have to get into the game and the situations. Well, all you can do is hit the ball hard. That's what Katze did, but right to Belliard.
Well, he's done that the last couple of games. He's been able to manage a base hit tonight. In this game, he was hitless yesterday, but he did hit that one ball up the middle in the 1st inning that caught the mound. So his stroke is there. He's swinging the bat well, just not putting together a lot of hits right yet.
Now here's Brant Brown. He singled home a run his last time up. Been on base a couple of times, 1 for 2. He's had the walk and the single, and he's also popped up. Brown making his 2nd consecutive start in left field. With Floyd with a bit of a groin injury. Floyd getting the day off again today, and of course the off date tomorrow. So by Wednesday, Cliff says he should be ready and back in left field. And that's certainly good news. We have said it the entire spring that for the Marlins to be successful, Floyd has to be healthy. And already this season, Floyd has missed 3 games. 3 out of 8.
Well, he is trying to think at this point, and I'm sure John Bowles thinking the same way. Better to miss 3 now than to miss time on the disabled list if that groin injury got worse.
And in particular in this cold weather. And why take a chance?
I mean, I think I pulled a groin coming into the booth. It's so cold here.
But Tommy, if we're going to be successful this year, you've got to stay healthy.
Got to keep myself healthy all year.
Brown gets a walk. Well, here's the tying run, and now to bring up Preston Wilson. Left-hander Matt Williams out there pitching. The other Matt Williams right now is on the 15-day disabled list for Arizona.
Now Davey Lopes is making a double switch. Pitching coach Bob Apodaca comes to the mound, but he's bringing in veteran Charlie Hayes to play first base, and now he'll go to the bullpen to bring on a right-hander.
All right, so Davey Lopes has gone to work here. That is Dave Weathers, the ex-Marlin, coming on to pitch here at County Stadium. We shall return.
It's happening again.
Where's it centered?
I got it. It's centered on Elwood Drive.
Go, go, go!
Connect from Nextel. How business gets done.
Now, fans are reminded to get an inside look at the Marlins organization every Sunday morning at 10:30 on Marlins Weekly. Yeah, Jay Randolph will bring you all the highlights, all the news, and all the behind-the-scenes interviews. Catch all the action right here on Fox Sports Net. Here at County Stadium in Milwaukee, and welcome to the Skins game. Those guys are nuts.
They need to get an inside look at some psychiatric help, I think. Look, they got the batting gloves, though, to hold the containers. Charlie Hayes, there he is, the veteran. I think a good pickup by the Brewers right toward the end of spring training. The Mets released him. So he gives Davey Lopes a good bat off the bench, a little first base play, some third base. And there's the former Marlin, David Weathers, with right-handers due up. Weathers is called upon.
Hey, 4 months ago, he became a daddy. Got a young son. He is very healthy and coming along. All is well. Dave Weathers, the ex-Marlin, who still lives in Nashville, Tennessee. 9 in relief here in the 7th inning. Milwaukee leads it 4-3. Wilson in this game has gone 1 for 3. He had a single back in the 3rd. Only one away here. Wilson takes a strike, caught the knees on the outside. Marlins had a 1-0 lead, and then a home run by Jenkins tied it in the 2nd. Then Milwaukee came up with 3 runs in the 3rd, and then Florida came up with a couple of runs in the 5th to make it a 1-run game here. Wilson a big swing, and he goes right through it. And the count is 0-2 now.
It's amazing. Preston with that base hit in the 3rd inning. He continues to quietly keep that hit streak alive at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, Wilson hitting about 350. And right now second to Mike Lowe on the club in RBIs. Mike picked up his 9th today, and Wilson has 8 RBIs. Grant Brown, the base runner at first base, alongside Charlie Hayes out there. Wilson in a hole at 0-2. Now he's got to become more of a contact hitter. Cut down and just somehow put the ball in play here. But he gets caught looking. Weathers snuck one by him.
Well, believe it or not, it's the first strikeout that the Brewers have recorded. I think it really fooled Preston that Weathers came after him with such a good pitch to hit. He's the kind of pitcher who'll throw a lot of sliders and sinkers, and he spotted that fastball and put it right there. Good pitch for David Weathers.
Now we'll bring up Mike Lowe, who's had a good ball game again today. A single and a run scored his first time up. And then in the 5th, he hit a fly ball that drove in a run for a sacrifice fly. Milwaukee leads at 4-3. Mike, little cue shot foul. Waved at a breaking ball there. That time he had Lowe out in front. Well, it took Ken Griffey Jr. a while to hit a home run. He did it yesterday. And he hit another one today at Colorado. Fastball for a call strike. Hey, Dave Weathers throwing strikes out there right now.
Well, he figured it out in the National League.
Chipper Jones also hit one today. Galarraga hit another home run today for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, they're working in. I noticed Wally Joyner played yesterday, gave the Big Cat a day off. Joyner had a base hit. Cat back in there with another home run.
I think Galarraga is already the comeback player of the year. Lowe lunging at it, gets a piece of it. It stays at no balls and 2 strikes. Hey, Mike hit one yesterday. A line drive home run.
Yeah, you think about the 2 home runs yesterday, the one by Preston and that one by Mike Lowell, both line drive shots.
Well, Mike right now is the only Marlin with more than 1 home run. He's got 2 of them. He also leads the club with 9 RBIs. Go to first, and again too late. Yeah, Mike Lowell's off to a good start. Hitting .357. And up here to hit now in a 1-run ball game here in the top of the 7th inning. Infield backed up all the way on the left side. Jenkins very deep in left field. And again, Brown gets back.
They talked about home runs. How about the Atlanta Braves left fielder yesterday? Bobby Bonilla, 3 for 3 with a home run.
All the way. Yeah, Bonilla's off to a good start. Very productive for Bobby Cox. Giving them that veteran off the bench.
Yeah, he's getting to play a little bit because Brian Jordan's hurt.
And so Bonilla has been inserted in left field.
Bobby was such a valuable guy, that 1997 Marlin World Championship team. How about that Minnesota-Kansas City game yesterday, Tommy? We talk about home runs into right center. Shallow, but there's Grissom in the gap to one-handed. That'll do it. So as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning in Milwaukee, it's still a one-run game. The Brewers in front.
Hey, look at this. What is it?
Sports Geniuses, the game show that tests your sports IQ. Tonight at 11 on Fox Sports Net.
Right, Joe and Tommy back here at County Stadium. We'll take a look at the entire Kingdom game summary for you. Milwaukee leads it by a run. Jenkins has a home run for Nitz and a 2-run single. The ball got by Kevin Millar. Wilson has now hit safely in 8 consecutive games. And Mike Redmond continues to hit in Milwaukee. He's had a couple of hits. And now John Bowles gone to the bullpen. Veteran right-hander Ricky Bones in here to pitch.
Well, Ricky had been warming up earlier, and of course no stranger to County Stadium. From 92 to 95, he averaged 10 wins a year, pitching out of the rotation for the Milwaukee Brewers. He made a comment to me that he loved pitching in this kind of weather, and that every year he always got off to a pretty good start. And if you look at it, his career ERA is below 4. It's in the 3s in the month of April. So he's always pitched well early on. So his job to go after another veteran, Charlie Hayes. Good job by Armando Almanza.
Indeed. Yeah, he goes an inning in the 3rd, gives up no runs on a hit, couple of strikeouts, and did not walk anybody. Yeah, Ricky Bones, a one-time All-Star in Milwaukee in the starting rotation here. So here's Charlie Hayes, and then the top of the order. Charlie Hayes in the game defensively at first base. This will be his first time up. That's a base hit. Heading for the corner. Now chasing it down is Brown. Charlie, don't call me Gabby Hayes. In there at second base standing.
Well, Charlie got a chance to start a few games on the opening week of the season when they opened on the road. And again, he's a veteran. He's been around. He had a contract when he went to spring training with the Mets, where if they knew that he wasn't going to be on the club, there was a certain time in which they had to release him so he could hook on. And it didn't take long for the Brewers to snag him.
Now the top of the order, Marquise Grissom in here against veteran right-hander Ricky Bones. Grissom with a walk and a double, a run scored, and there's the bunt. It's a good one too. Bones will get the ball to Millar to get the out. And on the play, Charlie Hayes going to third. Grissom trying to bunt for a hit and almost succeeded.
Yeah, sometimes even though it appeared he was bunting for a hit, that's the way he feels more comfortable pushing a bunt. And that's all he wanted to do. He figured, well, it's a little extra. I'll get gravy if it's a base hit. But he got the job done by bunting it to the right side, and a good play by Ricky Bones to bend over and get the ball over to Kevin Millar. So a good bunt by Marquise Grissom.
Yeah, trying to get that ball past Bones. Couldn't quite do it, but if it does, and yeah, Grissom has himself a hit. Well, here's Loretta now in a one-run ball game late in the game like this. Well, John Bowles has the infield in. They cannot afford to give up a run, so they will try to prevent that run from scoring. Loretta 0 for 2, a base on balls, and a run scored. So the count 2-0 now.
Don't have to tell you the importance of trying to shut down this rally and keep the Brewers from scoring another run.
Yeah, it's huge on a day that's tough to hit. Tough to score runs. And right now they're down a run. And Milwaukee has had only 5 hits. And yet they lead by 1. Because back in the 3rd, Vladimir Nunez could not find the plate. He walked 3 men, and all 3 would eventually score. Nice picture there, huh? A youngster being educated on the game of baseball.
Probably thinking, but Dad, I thought this was a warm weather sport.
That's right, son, but sometimes, especially in Milwaukee, it's not that way.
And this way he'll always remember his opening day.
Yeah, the day he froze to death on opening day. These are very tough conditions. Now 3-2 to Loretta. Vladimir Nunez started. Then it was Almanza in the 5th inning. And now Ricky Bonas in the 7th inning. And trying to keep it a 1-run game. It'll be a tough task. Right to Castillo. He'll hold the runner. And so far, so good.
If you're down near the bottom of the order and you don't have Jeremy Burnitz coming up, Lopes may have had Hayes going on contact. But you don't want that to happen with Burnitz coming up. Now John Bowles will go to the bullpen. Looks like he's going to make a couple of changes. Danny Bautista's already gone in to play left field.
I would imagine it's going to be Derensburg coming in to pitch to Burnitz, left-hand hitter. We have yet to see Derensburg, and yep, there he is. We saw him yesterday, and he came in and walked a left-hand hitter on 4 pitches. So he'll get one more chance.
Maybe you can. Not everyone should be as honest as we are. Tire Kingdom, honest service and the lowest prices.
All right, Joe and Tommy. Indeed, the old double switch. There's Danny Bautista. He's out there in left field now. He'll hit 9th. And left-hander Vic Derensburg. And Tommy, we saw him yesterday. Vic had a very good spring. You know, some good numbers. Was very effective. We saw him in the ball game yesterday come in to face a left-hand hitter. And he would walk Brent Mayne on 4 consecutive pitches. Not exactly what John Bowles had in mind.
No, and I know that frustrated John Bowles. I'm sure it frustrated Vic Derensburg as well because of the spring he had. So now he's called. Sometimes the best way to do it is to get that call again the next night. And back-to-back games for Vic. He gets an opportunity again. I would say it's a lot tougher facing Burnitz, though, than it was facing Brent Mayne, because I think we brought up the point yesterday. Mayne is more of a platoon guy and doesn't see a lot of left-handed pitching. Burnitz, well, he plays all the time.
I would imagine, Tommy, that he might be pitching around Burnitz in this situation. You got Jenkins, another left-hand hitter coming up to hit next. Jenkins, who struck out looking against a left-hander, Almanza, back in the 5th inning. So let's see what they do with Jeremy Burnitz, who's very dangerous, and already with 5 home runs early this season, and has a 2-run single in this game. Also with a base on balls. Burnitz, who last season hit 33 home runs in just 133 games. Although for some reason he seems to do most of his damage on the road. Last year Burnitz had only .210 here at County Stadium. And last year 21 of his 33 home runs were on the road. So the home cooking wasn't too good to Burnitz last year. And now 2-0.
I think the point you brought up is probably correct. There's a little leeway this time for Vic.
Yep.
If falling behind now 2-0, he certainly doesn't want to give in to Burnitz, and he doesn't have to because Jenkins is on deck.
Well, they pitched around Burnitz back in the 5th inning. And there's ball 3. That one looked pretty good, though. And there's Jenkins. He's on deck. Now, he too is dangerous.
Yeah, and now that's going to be all. Mike Redmond calling for the intentional walk.
So officially, it will be an intentional walk. That's what they had in mind. The pitch around him, and now Jenkins will come up to hit with runners on first and third with 2 outs in a 1-run game. And now Rich Doobie is going out for a visit.
The tough part about that for a pitcher, you're struggling a little bit with your control, which he was yesterday in walking Maine. Now you call on Vic to come on and face Burnitz, and you say, well, you know what, don't worry if you don't make your pitch. If you walk him, that's okay. But now he has to make pitches. He has to make good pitches to retire Jenkins.
You know, what's kind of interesting there is that, I mean, to walk a guy kind of semi-intent to pitch around a hitter, you have to have good command.
Yeah, what you're doing, you're hoping that maybe Burnitz chases one of those first 2 pitches.
You have to try to make it enticing, and yet you don't want to throw him a strike. Well, Derensburg has done that now with runners at the corners. There's Jenkins, who has the bases empty home run. He also hit a fly ball that drove in a run. And he is struck out looking. So officially, he is 1 for 2. And a high fastball. Now Jenkins is the guy that Derensburg wants to get. So he's got to go after him, unlike Jeremy Burnitz. Jenkins hit 21 home runs last year. And he goes right through that fastball. The thing about Jenkins last year, Tommy, he's a youngster, and yet he led this Milwaukee club in hitting with runners in scoring position. He had almost 350 in these situations last year. In his first full season at the major league level. Jeff Jenkins, former USC All-American. Derensburg ready. There it comes. Just inside. Did not miss by much. Charlie Hayes, he's at third base. He doubled. Burnitz got the intentional walk. He's at first. Well, Derensburg has to throw a strike right here. Be a good idea. Heading for the left field corner. And slicing foul by just a few feet. My goodness.
That's the one thing about Vic. He has come in, and even the pitches he's missed with, he really hasn't missed that much. That time a fastball, and the ball kept slicing, thankfully so for Vic Derensburg.
Well, he'd love to get the strikeout right here.
And remember, that's what Almanza did in the 5th inning. Yep. Struck out Jenkins.
He got him looking.
With a good fastball.
2-2 to Jenkins. Runners on first and third. Milwaukee leads it by a run. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning on opening day in Milwaukee. Marlins have been a good come-from-behind team in the early going. And they're down a run right here. Jenkins digs in. There goes the runner at first. The pitch is inside. Redmond bluffing the throw. And Burnitz with a stolen base. And the count to Jenkins at 3-2 now.
Again, a pretty good pitch. Vic Derensburg just missed with it inside. That's where he wanted to put it.
Now on deck is right-hand hitting Jose Hernandez. The count 3-2 to Jenkins. Milwaukee now with 2 runners in scoring position. And they'll do it again.
And you know, if Derensburg loses Jenkins and walks him with Hernandez, a right-handed hitter, Dan Maselli's been loosening in the bullpen, and he appears to be ready.
In the game yesterday against Colorado, in the 8th inning, John Bowles used a total of 5 pitchers in that 1 inning. The count 3-2. Needs a strikeout. Here it comes. Oh, they got to do it again. 3-2.
Jenkins giving Vic a pretty good battle.
Well, the veteran right-hander Dan Maselli's out there. Take a little longer to warm up on a day like this?
Oh, yeah. You got to give yourself a little more time.
And then you have to stay warm.
That's the toughest part, if you warm up and then don't come in the game and then have to warm up again.
3-2 to Jenkins. Good battle here. Here it comes. And the battle continues. And of course, the more pitches that a hitter sees, the more comfortable he gets.
And keep in mind, all three of those foul balls have been to the opposite side, so he hasn't quite zeroed in on Vic Derensburg.
Charlie Hayes at third. Jeremy Burnett's at second base with 2 outs. He struck him out looking.
Great pitch.
Got him on a good fastball. Went for the corner. He got the corner. And Jenkins losing that battle. And Derensburg gets it done out of the bullpen. Nicely done. And so in Milwaukee, we head to the 8th. It is still a 1-run game.
The place to start when you need parts.
What did I miss?
That was fast.
What did I miss?
Dad, pop one.
Guys, what did I miss?
Alex Fernandez struck out 3. I caught this. We were on the big screen.
Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, my nachos.
For Marlins tickets, visit the Pro Player Stadium box office, Marlins in Miami store, or call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050.
All right, fans, be sure and tune in to Fox Sports Net weeknights at 6 o'clock and then again at 11 p.m. for the new game show that is guaranteed to satisfy all sports fans. A show entitled Sports Geniuses. It's a half-hour show. It delivers a daily dose of sports trivia, along with electrifying clips, competition, and guest appearances by famous athletes. Weeknights at 6 and 11, right here on Fox Sports Net. Kevin Millar leads off and takes a call strike. Millar, then Gonzalez, and then Redmond. Milwaukee leads at 4-3.
And it looks like Gonzalez is not going to hit Cliff Floyd. Has moved into the on-deck circle.
1-1 to Kevin, who is 0 for 3 here. Well, the Marlins getting into a situation where they might need the long ball. And the wind right now, I think, is blowing out toward that right field corner. Very high fly ball. Out toward right. Burnett is there. Well, Millar, an 0 for 4 day in Milwaukee. Now Floyd will come up to hit for Gonzalez. Floyd saying before the game today, Tommy, that there's a little bit of a groin injury, a little tight. And he says it bothers him most when he runs from a dead stop. When he swings the bat, no problem. And he says he should be okay for the game on Wednesday. Takes a knee-high fastball.
Yeah, and I guess he initially banged it up a little bit trying to make a catch against the scoreboard at home.
Yeah.
And then aggravated it again going up the line.
It just seems like every time Floyd does get hurt, it happens when he's playing defense. I mean, that's generally the case. One ball and one strike. Off the fist. Loretta on to first. Got him. That had to sting a little bit.
Yeah, that's where you don't want it on a day like today. But Weathers has been around. He's a smart pitcher. He ran that fastball in on him. You try to lean a little bit, you think sinker and sliders, and Weathers ran that fastball up a little bit and got it in on Cliff Floyd.
Now Mike Redmond is due to hit. It looks like Mark Smith is going to come up to hit for Mike Redmond. With 2 outs and the bases empty in a 1-run ball game here, John Bowles looking for a little more power than Redmond can provide, so Smith is going to come up to hit.
Even though Redmond is 2 for 3, and even though a home run will just tie it, we also are going to use a pinch hitter. The Marlins will need to use one in the 9th inning if it ends here in the 8th inning. Need one in the 9th inning when it gets down to the number 3 spot in the order, because Vic Derensburg, or the pitcher, is hitting in that spot.
Well, it's a very tough day to hit in Milwaukee. You mentioned game time temperature about 34 degrees. It might be colder than that right now, but Smith likes this ballpark. It was here at County Stadium in Milwaukee when Mark Smith was a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates that he had his best offensive game ever. A game in which he went 4 for 4, which included a double and a home run. So he'd like to see some of that magic right here. At his best day right here in this ballpark. Up there to hit with 2 outs and no one on. He takes a good fastball. Well, Dave Weathers looking good. Throwing strikes out there. Making good pitches. And 4 up and 4 down against him. Nothing and 1 the count. Fastball. And 0-2 now. Well, if you're a pitcher on a day like this, it's a good idea to go right after the hitter.
Oh, yeah, especially somebody coming off the bench.
And that's what Weathers has done. Smith in a hole at 0-2. Going the other way. Nice job of hitting right there. Tough pitch, but Smith, a tough hitter.
Well, so far in the early season, that's the 3rd pinch hit for Mark Smith. So he's done the job coming off the bench.
Well, that's a great job of hitting right there.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 strikes.
You don't know how tough that is on a day like today.
I mean, Weathers threw that ball exactly where he wanted it, down and away. And Smith just did absolutely what he should have done with that pitch. And he hit the ball hard, too. Now we'll take a look at Danny Bautista offensively for the first time today. Milwaukee leads at 4-3 in the 8th inning, and Bautista takes low. One of the few times Weathers has been behind a hitter.
The other thing to think about when we get to the 9th inning, because Redmond was pinch hit for, Sandy Martinez will come into the game. Klipinski will come into play short because Alex Gonzalez was pinch hit for. So the only man left will be Derek Lee.
Little pop up here. Should be caught. The second baseman Belliard. And now coming on is Burnitz. Good idea to let the right fielder handle it. Well, the single is wasted. They leave a man in Milwaukee. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. And the Brewers ahead by a run.
Sports Geniuses, the game show that tests your sports IQ. Tonight at 11 on Fox Sports Net. Sports Geniuses, the game show that tests your sports IQ. Tonight at 11 on Fox Sports Net.
Our fans of Florida Marlins and Health South Doctors Hospital have Marlins replica jerseys for the first 7,500 fans. The kids in attendance on Super Saturday, April 22nd, to take on the Phillies on that day at 7:05. So for tickets, call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050. Well, Sandy Martinez now doing the catching. Veteran right-hander Dan Miceli will be the Klipinski, as Tommy indicated, in the ballgame. It's short now. And Derek Lee has come in to play first base. And the veteran right-hander Dan Miceli will come in to pitch.
So that bench is empty. And Miceli on to keep things a 1-run game with that good live fastball.
So in the 9th inning, it's going to be the top of the order. I would imagine Derek Lee will hit 3rd.
Yeah, I would think with the moves that John Bowles has made, he certainly doesn't want to have the inning go by and not have Derek Lee hit. So I'm assuming he's been put in that number 3 spot in the order.
Meanwhile, Miceli's job is to keep it a 1-run game. John Bowles has made a bundle of changes here. He has now gone to the bullpen a total of 4 times, so he's used 5 pitchers. Yesterday used a total of 6 in the finale against the Colorado Rockies. So early in the season, Tommy, that bullpen has been getting a workout. All right, Milwaukee will now try to pad the lead. It's going to be Jose Hernandez up here to lead off, and he takes it low.
The part of the bullpen that you have to concern yourself with is not so much the number of batters a pitcher faces. They may come in and face one batter or pitch a third or 2/3 of an inning. It's the number of times they have to warm up to get ready for that slot.
Very high fly ball out there toward Katze. All bundled up. Got the shades on an overcast day. That's out number 1. You know, Tommy, the shades might be for the wind. Not all that bright out there right now. Yeah, the elements have come into play here this afternoon.
Pinch hitting for Kevin Barker.
It's going to be Sean Berry coming up to hit for Davey Lopes. Sean Berry, a right-hand hitter with 1 out and the bases empty in a 1-run ball game here. He will hit for the first baseman, Kevin Barker. And he fouls away the fastball.
Did a good job pinch hitting the veteran Sean Berry last year. A couple of years ago with Houston, you remember he was in a nice platoon situation. Sean Berry and Bill Spires platooned at third base for the Astros.
Sean Berry, a veteran who over his career is at 10 home runs against the Florida Marlins. You know, Sandy Martinez and Miceli having a little difficulty getting together on the signs. Milwaukee 4 runs on 5 hits. That's all. Florida with 3 runs on 8 hits. The Brewers have made the only error in this game. And Jenkins has the game's only home run. And Berry goes right through it. Going to be almost, well, maybe not impossible, but very difficult to hit a home run to left field today. On a very cold day, the wind coming in from left field. And of course, on a day like this, even without the wind, that ball does not carry very well. One and 2 the count. They'll stay at 1 and 2.
Well, Dan Miceli's kind of an interesting story. He came out of Orlando, Dr. Phillips High School, very high-powered high school baseball program, and he wasn't drafted, and he attended a tryout camp that the Kansas City Royals had. And out of 200 or so kids, he was the only one they signed.
You know, usually that's the case at a tryout camp. Maybe 1, maybe 2 guys will get the call. That's about it, though. So it's a long shot, and Miceli, one of the few. Got a pretty good job in the early going here. We talked about the bullpen, and that's the one area that John Bull says has got to improve. Last year, the Marlins lost a lot of 1- and 2-run games. They got away late. That ball is pulled foul. 2 and 2 the count.
Well, he might not try that one again. He hung a little breaking ball and it stayed on the inside part of the plate. A couple of years ago, Miceli with a 10-5 year with the Padres pitched in the World Series for San Diego.
Here's a high fastball. Now 3-2. Well, those games, Tommy, when they get back inside the clubhouse, it's going to feel so good. Very high. Left field, should be caught. There's Danny Bautista. It is caught. 2 outs.
This is the day, the kind of day that when you go back in the clubhouse, you don't want the hot water heater to break down. You want that shower nice and warm.
For about a half hour. Give you a chance to thaw out. Baseball was not meant to be played under these conditions. Very tough to hit. Actually very tough to pitch too. Tough to play defense. Tough to keep that feel. There's a base hit. Well, Belliard gets aboard. He's 2 for 4 now. Belliard, who has hit safely in every game so far this year.
Well, I love the way he rounds first base, and tell you what, as an outfielder, you better be alive for that, because when you come in on a base hit, you better make sure you don't bobble at all. He takes his peek, puts his head down, takes a hard turn. Now, once he takes his turn, that's when he picks up the outfielder.
Well, we saw Belliard last year. Came up. Remember, Fernando Vina got injured in May. That's when Belliard got the call. And he came up, played in 124 games, and hit .295 with 8 home runs and 58 RBIs. Was a very good clutch hitter last year. He hit almost .370 in the clutch situations, and by that we mean late in the ball game, when the game is on the line, in close games, the big hits. A youngster, but he came through. Belliard. He's at first as Blanco takes a ball. Belliard's only 24. Now lives in Miami, went to Central High School. But he was born in the Bronx. We count 2-0 now. It says in the media guide, Tommy, that Belliard's favorite color is red. And right now that red stands for heat. To see it warm up a little bit. Well, he's had 2 hits. And now 2-1 to Blanco. And there's the Milwaukee closer, Bob Wickman. He's out there getting ready.
Nothing real fancy about Wickman. Good sinkers and sliders. A ground ball pitcher all the way.
Fastball in there. 2-2 to count to Blanco now. And Miceli trying to get one more out and keep it a 1-run ball game here. In the top of the 9th inning, the Fish will have the top of the order coming up here. And we'll have a little delay here. We're not going to show it to you. But on opening day in Milwaukee, one of the fans decided to make an appearance.
Some over-exuberant cheeseheads.
Yep. A fan who has made a bad decision trying to stay warm out here, and too much liquid. So that fan is now being escorted off the field. Fastball. He struck him out. So Miceli with a strikeout. And indeed, we are heading to the 9th there in Milwaukee. The Brewers are ahead 4-3. And Luis Castillo will try to get things started in the 9th.
One should be as honest as we are. Tire Kingdom, honest service and the lowest prices.
All right, fans, a reminder, don't you dare miss it. You follow the Panthers in their quest for the Stanley Cup this year, starting on Thursday with Panthers tonight. That'll start at 7 p.m. They'll be traveling to New Jersey. They'll take on the Devils. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. Don't you dare miss it on Fox Sports Net. Hey, Tommy, Bob Whitman, he's got that manly look on a very cold day.
Yeah, he doesn't have that hood. He doesn't have those long sleeves. He's already picked up 1 save this year. Had 37 last year, 25 the year before. So remember, with the Yankees, he was more often used in middle relief. And in '93 with the Yankees, he actually started 19 games. Had a good year, but now he's a closer. He's a good guy on a day like this. He's the kind of pitcher that usually has success because of a hard sinker slider. But on the other hand, Marlins have the top of the order to start things in the 9th inning. And Luis Castillo trying to generate at least 1 run.
Well, you mentioned Bob Whitman, at one time a Yankees starter, and boy, what a start he got off to with the Yankees, too. And we're talking about way back in 1993. And here's a guy who, as a starter with the Yankees, he started 8-0, and at one time he was 14-1 at the beginning of his career with the Yankees. And that was the best start for a Yankee starter since Whitey Ford back in the early 1950s. Because he is now a reliever. Last year, his first full season as the Milwaukee closer. And as Tommy mentioned, 37 out of 45 saves. The 37 saves is a Milwaukee club record. Milwaukee Brewer record. Now 1-2 to Castillo.
Getting men on base hasn't been the problem today for the Fish. It's getting them in. They've left men on base. They've left at least 1 man on base every inning.
The thing is, if Castillo is able to get on base, Whitman has always been very easy to steal against. But Castillo has to get on base first. He's done that once today. Got a walk back in the 5th inning. Low chopper. Tough play here. Hernandez on to first. He throws wide, and Castillo gets on base. I think Castillo might have beaten that regardless.
Yeah, he threw wide because he never had a grip on the ball. Jose Hernandez knew he had to make a perfect play on this little chopper, little defensive swing. He hit 2 strikes. But again, he puts it in play on the ground. Now there's the bobble. He never caught it cleanly and didn't have much on the throw.
That'll be an infield single for Castillo.
All the way.
Yes, sir. Now, in the last couple of years, in fact, in the last 5 years, against Bob Whitman, opposing base stealers have gone 50 out of 57. And Castillo gets back.
And I guarantee with the research that Rusty Kuntz and the rest of the staff has done, I'm sure they know that.
Yeah, Whitman is a guy that you can run against. Low bouncer out towards second base. Out at second. Oh, the double clutch, but they get the double play regardless. Kotze on the first pitch, bouncing into a 4-6-3 double play. My goodness. Loretta double clutched it, but still had time to get the double play.
You hate to see that happen because of the extreme possibilities of Luis Castillo being able to steal second base. And that's where the patient comes in a number 2 hitter. You want to allow Castillo to get to second base. Then you pull that ground ball to second. You have him at third with 1 down. Now they're 2 out and nobody on.
Well, Kotze might have been trying to take advantage of that hole on the right side of the infield, but yeah, we talked about it. The number 2 hitter. You got to be patient. And that time Castillo never got a chance to get to second base. So now Derek Lee will try to deliver maybe a long ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Milwaukee leads it 4-3 in the 9th. Boy, that's a very disheartening double play. Got a chance out there with Castillo. Good fastball.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm sure that's what Kotze was thinking. The hole's open. Wickman's going to throw that sinker. He's going to give me a fastball because Castillo's at first. I'm going to try to take a shot over there. He just didn't get it far enough.
Now 2-1 to Lee. Well, let's see if Lee can be the late game hero here. Derek with a couple of hits so far this year, both singles. Picked up 1 RBI. Bob Wickman, veteran right-hander, 31 years of age. Fouls away the fastball, the sinker. Bob Wickman, who was a youngster, I think he was only 2 or 3 years old. He suffered a childhood accident when he lost the tip of one of his fingers on his right hand.
Yeah, I believe it's the pointer finger.
Yep. And it gives his pitches a lot of life. I mean, they move a lot. So a blessing in disguise. The count 2-2 to Derek Lee. Here it comes. Almost hit him. Sometimes, Tommy, all that movement gives him some control difficulties.
Well, you'd love to see Preston step into the batter's box representing the go-ahead run.
The count 3-2 to Derek Lee. He struck him out, and this one is in the loss column. Well, Davey Lopes being congratulated. Yeah, Milwaukee winning on opening day. They had 53,000 was the paid crowd this afternoon, and the fans are going home happy as Milwaukee has won this one with 2 more coming up at County Stadium. Tough double play for Katze in that 9th inning, and Derek Lee chasing a ball that would have been ball 4. A good, hard, nasty sinker again. And Wickman gets a save, and he faced only 3 men. Milwaukee wins it. We'll come back here to County Stadium right after this.
Sports Geniuses, the game show that tests your sports IQ. Tonight at 11 on Fox Sports Net.
Joe and Tommy back here at County Stadium in Milwaukee. Milwaukee wins it 4-3, the first of a 3-game series. Off date coming up tomorrow. Same 2 teams again on Wednesday night and on Thursday night. And then they'll be on to Wrigley Field in Chicago. A tough one. Luis Castillo on base a couple of times. They had the tying run on base in that 9th inning, but then a double play ball with Castillo on base. And eventually Derek Lee the strikeout to end it. Wickman getting a save. Milwaukee wins it 4-3. We'll be back and wrap it up at County Stadium right after this.
I'll be right back.
At 7 on Fox Sports Net.
What did I miss?
That was fast.
What did I miss?
Dad, popcorn.
Guys, what did I miss?
Alex Fernandez struck out 3. I caught this. We were on the big screen.
Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, my nachos.
For Marlins tickets, visit the Pro Player Stadium box office, Marlins in Miami store, or call Ticketmaster at 305-350-5050.
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Net has been brought to you in part by Discount Auto Parts. Be sure and stop by any of our convenient locations and check out our great weekly specials. By Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. By Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, the value is real every day. And by Tire Kingdom, the lowest prices on the streets. County Stadium in Milwaukee, a cold, blustery opening day here, but a very happy day for the Brewers. They win this one by a score of 4-3. You see the not so lovely totals right there. Florida leaving 9 men on base, just could not come up with that big timely hit. And Tommy, it all boiled down to a couple of, well, would-be double plays early in the game. Milwaukee had the bases loaded, and on a ball hit to Kevin Millar, it looked like it might be a double play. The ball got through Millar, and then later in the game, a double play with Katze hit into with Castillo on base in that 9th inning.
Yeah, it's a situation where when you have a type of ball club that the Marlins have, you're not going to blow a lot of teams away. You need to do the little things correctly, and not make too many mistakes. Now, this was a base hit by Jeremy Burnett, but you can tell by the reaction of Kevin Millar that he realized he has to catch that ball. A couple of runs came in to score, and Burnett's had himself some RBIs. And then in that last inning with the leadoff base hit, the infield single by Luis Castillo, he was at first base. We were talking about, Joe brought up the fact that Wickman does not hold runners well. And when that happens, you want to allow the base runner to take off and steal. Castillo didn't get that opportunity because on the first pitch, and Kotze knows it, he was trying to pull the ball in the hole. But on that first pitch, without giving Castillo an opportunity, he hit a ground ball to second. The Brewers turned an easy double play.
Yeah, one of those situations where if Kotze does get a hit, he's a hero. But it didn't turn out that way, and it became so obvious. And Milwaukee hangs on to win it 4-3. And Tommy and I'll be back at County Stadium right after this.
It's taking over at
the old bar. If you want to save time and money, make a pit stop at Discount Auto Parts. The place to start when you need parts.
Okay, Louis, take it away.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the crowd. Yeah.
I don't care if I never get back, so let's root for the home team.
If they don't win, it's a shame, 'cause it's
at the old ball game. I like that.
That fella can sing, huh?
I will check out the Geico final box. Milwaukee wins it by a run, with Jimmy Haynes winning it to run his record to 2-0. Nunez, the starter and the loser for the Marlins. He is 0-1. Bob Wickman picked up his second save. 53,509 in the ballpark on opening day. Jeff Jenkins had the game's only home run for the Brewers. And Tommy Luis Castillo continues to get on base. He was on base twice more in the game this afternoon. And, hey, the bullpen did a good job, too.
Bullpen did a good job. Almanza, Bonas, Darrensburg, Maselli, they all held it to a close ball game. All 4 runs coming off Nunez. And Preston Wilson, a base hit, now has an 8-game hitting streak.
Milwaukee wins it, though, 4-3. Florida is now 4-4. And Milwaukee goes to 4-3. They meet again on Wednesday. Back with a word on that. We will continue from County Stadium right after this.
We all do dumb things.
A multimedia machine.
It's the new nightly game show that tests your sports IQ.
I like it smoky and hot.
Sports Geniuses, weeknights at 6 and 11 on Fox Sports Net.
Joe Angel back at County Stadium in Milwaukee here for the Marlins. A very frustrating afternoon. They had the early lead, and then Jenkins a home run to tie it in the second inning. Milwaukee scored 3 runs on only 1 hit and 3 walks. In the bottom of inning number 3, Florida then came up with a couple of runs in the 5th inning. After that, well, nothing doing. Luis Castillo, an infield single in the 9th, but then Kotze into a double play, and that was that. Milwaukee hangs on to win this one by a score of 4-3 on opening day here at County Stadium. Thank you for joining us at Milwaukee inside County Stadium on a very cold and blustery afternoon. They'll meet again on Wednesday. In that game is going to be left-hander Jesus Sanchez. He'll take on right-hander Jamie Navarro for Milwaukee. Game time at 7:05. We'll have it for you on Fox Sports Net. It all starts at 6:30. That's Wednesday night, our next gathering. Until then, for Tommy Hutton and Dave O'Brien, I'm Joe Angel saying thank you. We enjoyed it. Again, the final score, the Marlins in the loss column. Milwaukee wins it here 4-3.
Fitness isn't just about looking good. It's also about staying strong and staying active. That's exactly why you need a Bowflex. You can work out anytime you want. You can reshape your body by building muscle and burning calories. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter how old you are. Because with more than 60 different exercises and 10 simple training routines, Bowflex can deliver the kind of workout you need to get the results you really want. You can lose weight. You can be stronger. You can build muscle, and you can do it with the Bowflex. It's quick, easy, convenient, and takes as little as 20 minutes a day because Bowflex incorporates both strength and aerobic exercise. Bowflex even folds up to save space. Visit us on the internet at www.bowflexdirect.com. For a free video and brochure, call right now.